Good evening. Welcome to the Easthampton City Council meeting for Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast live via Easthampton Media on Charter Channel 193 and live streamed on Easthampton Media's YouTube channel. All counselors and participants in this meeting are gathered remotely under an executive order by Governor Baker, which was extended to April 2022, allowing us to do so. I remind both the members of the City Council and of the public to remain on mute until recognized by the chair. Also, for members of the public, please remove your camera for the duration of the meeting unless you are participating in public speak or public hearings. This meeting is now called to order. Barbara.
Ed Conniff.
Here.
Salem Derby. Erica Flood.
Here.
Omar Gomez.
Here.
JP Kaczynski. Okay. Tom Peak.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Here.
And Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
Okay, we'll now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
under God,
liberty and justice for all.
liberty, and justice.
justice for all.
Thank you. I will take a motion to approve the minutes of November 3rd and December 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the minutes of November 3rd and December 1st. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Ed Conniff.
Yes.
Erica Flood.
Yes.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zarrett.
Abstain.
All right. We now have public speak. Let me, for the last time, do my little intro to public speak. For those of you who would like to participate in public speak on any topic other than what is on the public hearings, please remember that the City Council may only listen to your comments, but we cannot respond. We ask that you remain respectful and direct your comments only to the City Council. If you would like to speak, please select raise hand under the reactions option. Please remain on mute and keep your camera turned off until called on. And before commenting, please state your name for the record and your address or your precinct or your town if you're not from Easthampton. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. Tonight, we do have a public hearing at 6:15, so if public speak goes long, we will pause it and then resume when public hearings are over. Is there anyone who would like to participate in public speak? Raise your hand. Okay, not seeing any. We can move on. All right. Since we have a public hearing in 13 minutes, we can move on to communications from elected officials, boards, and committees. Dan, would you like to have Jenna do her report first? You're on mute.
I'm going to share my screen right now with the rent relief program.
Okay.
Everybody see this?
Yes.
This was reported to the CPA committee and we're very proud of it. As you can see, and I'll let Jana tell us a little bit more about it, but we were able to help 49 households, 5 subsidized households. They received 60 applications, so there weren't very many denied. Total number of people was 90. What I'm very proud of is this amount was spent. There's still $98,000 left, and the program, I think, Jenna, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it ends April 30th. Yes, the last line says that. I just wanted to bring this forward because there was some misinformation during the last election that this was not helpful for the city of Easthampton, and I believe it was extremely helpful. It kept people off the street during the pandemic, which, by the way, is not over. So if people still have rent problems that are COVID related, they can still apply. Jana, you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, I think, as you mentioned, we helped 49 households and we still have funds available. So applications have slowed down a little bit. And we do plan to do another sort of marketing push after the holidays to make sure that people still know that it's available, because we still have $98,000 remaining to be spent. So I think it's been very successful. I mean, we've helped, people have been very appreciative of the help, and we've helped folks who've been out of work, who've lost their job due to COVID, who returned to work and then lost their job again as the sort of second wave of COVID. So it's been interesting to sort of hear the stories from folks that have been helped.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. Does any counselors have any questions? I just wanted everybody to know that it was successful.
Counselor Zaret?
Thank you. Great program. I'm glad that this is helping people in the midst of the pandemic. We can all use every piece of help we can get. Just looking at the data, it mentioned average amount of assistance for subsidized households, but is there an average amount that all households are receiving who have been granted assistance? Just curious.
Yep. So non-subsidized households all receive $3,000. And the subsidized households are only eligible for help with arrears, and that has to do with rules around subsidized housing, and you can't pay rent forward for folks in subsidized housing. So that's why I included that average amount, just so you can get a sense of, for the subsidized families, what the average amount has been. But all of the other families have received $3,000.
Okay. Any other questions for Jana?
Thank you so much, Jana.
Thank you, Jana. It's a great
I just want to
program.
say that the CPA has been trying very hard and will work hard to continue our efforts around affordable housing, and this rent relief program is one of those efforts. Two more questions, Madam President.
Counselor Peak.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Jen, for all of this. I was just double checking that like the contact information to reach out if someone has a need has not changed at all. It's still what was up on the city website.
Yes, that's
Great.
correct. It's still the same. Yep.
I do know that I've had some constituents who have had COVID related loss of work, and especially as the new variants of spread. So I will make sure to remind people that this is an option. Thank you so much.
Counselor Kwidzinski.
And I just wanted to say thank you so much for your hard work in this, and for those who formulated this program, because it's unique. It's new. It's new across all of Massachusetts. Anywhere it was applied, I think we applied and used the CPA in a very prudent fashion. It took some extra effort to get it going because it wasn't easy to set up the administration. So kudos to you.
I mean, kudos to the city, really. I mean, we're the administrator. We're doing what you asked us to do. And so I thank the city, and the CPA committee and everybody who supported it, because it's been a pleasure working with the city, and we're happy to do it.
Right. Anything else, Counselor List?
Oh, Madam President, yes, I do have another Vice President communication. I forgot. Just to remind all of the councilors continuing on, January 3rd is at 1:15 is the reorganization meeting. It will be in person at the conference room next to dispatch right after the swearing in ceremony. That'll be brief. And the January 5th meeting will be on Zoom. That particular agenda has been developed, but it will not include committee reports or any public hearings. That is the night that the new president will be announcing new committees, et cetera. I just wanted to remind everybody about those two meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Riss. So we'll go back to communications from elected officials, boards, and committees. Counselor Zaret. You're on mute.
I actually had a question for Councilor Riss on the announcement. May
Sure.
I ask him a question?
Absolutely.
Councilor Riss, the reorganization meeting after swearing in, is that in a room that will be able to videotape the meeting?
I've already talked to the IT department. Dr. Corinne is going to help me. I'm going to have a laptop and show it to the public. It will be done. She said they have good Wi-Fi over there, so we should be able to connect. It has a Zoom link already on the agenda.
Great. Councilor, President Koff, do I still have the floor?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to take this moment, President, to thank you for your service to the council for now, what is it, 6 years? Did I get that right? This last term has been very challenging for many reasons. The pandemic, certainly number one, having to hold meetings remotely, Zoom complications, internet complications, the complexities of navigating a community when we're all existing mostly virtually, and when we do have to meet in person, to have to wear masks and take precautions. Like I said, I think in an email somewhere, I think the service that you provided the city just in these last 2 years is probably equivalent to 10 years, and pulling everything together, keeping the ship floating, sailing it through very rocky waters. And then on top of that, your service in conjunction with helping people get vaccines. So I just want to voice my appreciation for certainly all of your work and your tenure on the council, but certainly going above and beyond many, many times exponentially, and your service as president. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zaret.
And then I just, while I still have the floor, I just wanted to briefly also say that we filled our nip bottle bin outside of City Hall, which I don't know if that you had any role in that, President Conniff, but I'll attribute that to you as well. Not the consumption of the nip bottles, but encouraging people to
Wait a minute.
so those are going to get counted up, and 5 cents for each bottle will be contributed to money for our outdoor environmentally based committees that can accept donations. And not to upstage you with the nip bottles, I will return and say thank you again, President Conniff.
Thank you. Councilor Kwasinski. You're on mute there, JP. There you go.
Sorry, the computer's working a little slowly today. How do I follow up on Councilor Zaret's kudos? I just feel that your presence has been energetic, stabilizing, and has helped this city in a variety of directions. So I wanted to thank you for your service in advance of any other congratulations you may receive from others today. Thank you for staying with us. I hope you don't go away, but I do hope you get to enjoy some time in your retirement. And kudos to your spouse, because if you're out there, please listen. Spouses do so much. Partners, significant others, those who really know the inside story of just the time and commitment it takes to do a good job here for the city. So thank you so much. On another note, if I may, Madam President, I'd like to thank Councilor Zaret and Councilor-elect Connie Denham for being able to show up. I had invited those councilors who will be with us next year, and those who were, those who will be with us next year, to join me on an exercise this past weekend. And I just wanted to share that briefly. Others had commitments and they were unable to attend, so I'll be reissuing my invitation for this concern. We actually went on an exercise walk. It was my first time out since surgery last Monday for hernia double repair. So it ended up raining at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. It was pouring. And we got to walk. I invited everyone to walk Northampton Street. If you drive Northampton Street and look at the sidewalks, that's one thing. If you're able to get out there and actually step and see the poles, the telephone poles in your face as they grow from the sidewalk, as you see the curbs that are high and cannot be used by anyone in any wheelchair or other accessible device, difficult to pass. So I'll be inviting others to join me on that. But I did want to say thank you so much for really being troopers and for being there. I think it gives us a chance to talk about other issues. Nothing on the agenda that wouldn't be inappropriate, but I do hope that we can make an effort next year to occasionally, maybe regularly, monthly, take some walks together, do something outside of this forum that we meet on Zoom or other forms. It gives us an opportunity to get together, to bond, to heal, because we all have the obligation to work passionately on behalf of this city and our constituents. But sometimes that makes it difficult. And I think some healing, some opportunities to exercise together would be helpful. So that's my comment. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, JP. Councilor Gomez.
Thank you, Madam President. I promise I'm going to be quick. First, thank you to Councilor Flood for your service for the past few months, almost a year, I think, or a year, right? Thank you. I think you did an amazing job. And I'm gonna be brief. Thank you, Councilor President. You did an amazing job, and I learned a lot from you. Enjoy your retirement. We're gonna miss you. We love you, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gomez. All right. I don't see. Okay, Councilor Rothschild.
Yeah. Here I am. Well, I also want to just thank Councilor Flood and you, Councilor Coniff, for your service. I've really enjoyed working with both of you. Erica, working on the appointments committee together, it was really fun. I felt like it was very collaborative. It was invigorating, coming up with ideas, and I know we're still going to be working together on increasing inclusivity and participation in the city. And I know you're just going to be involved in other ways, so I'm sure we'll still be working together in other ways. So I look forward to that. Peg, you've been a great leader. I felt like the ship is steady with you there. And I know there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff you've had to endure as well. And you've always maintained your professionalism and you've kept our city on track, and you really do weigh in and listen to you have a really good talent of listening to different perspectives and really trying to take them in and find a fair resolution or a fair response. And I know you're going to retire and relax, but I'm sure we'll rope you in somehow in the future. Thank you again for everything that you've done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Councilor Rothschild. Thank you. That's very kind. Why don't we move right into the public hearings at this time? I'll take a motion to open the public hearings.
So move.
Second.
Motion second to open the public hearings. Barbara.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Dan.
and
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zarrett,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye. First up is a poll location, 2030 Ballard Street. Councilor Zarrett.
Yes, thank you, President Coniff. So as indicated at the last meeting, sorry, I'm just pulling this up on my screen. This is a proposal to install a Eversource pole for just for power only, electricity only, on Ballard Street. Just pulling up the language. This is the location at 2030 Ballard Street. To provide install one solely on pole on the west side of Ballard Street across from House 25 with underground conduit and cable to two pad-mounted transformers. As indicated at our last full council meeting, we had discussed this in committee and recommended it unanimously. However, a resident had come forward with concerns or questions about digging near the location. Both myself and the resident have made attempts to contact Eversource to clarify or get clarifying information, but have been unsuccessful as of yesterday. And so because of that, I don't feel I can personally move forward on this item, but I would open this with President. I'll hand it back to you to open it to discussion on the council in terms of what they think is prudent here.
So just so I'm clear, so we're not ready to have a meeting and a public hearing on this because there's still some information that needs to happen, or there's no recommendation yet coming from property, or how, all of the above?
Yeah, so the recommendation for property was 3-0 to recommend this to the council. However, there's a resident who is basically lives across the street and has questions, and they haven't been answered yet. So I can't myself, I can't vote yes on this until their questions are answered. There's been calls into Eversource. I'm assuming there's some sort of glitch in communication. And I'm trying to track down the rep that had been at our meeting. I have called them and sent them emails. I'm sure it's something as simple as they're either on vacation or something of that sort. So that it's kind of up in the air right now. I personally can't move forward without the resident being properly informed on this project.
Right, I would agree. And since this is a request from Eversource and they're unable to be reached, I feel no compulsion to hurry up and get this done. But I'll wait. Councilor Kwasinski, what are your thoughts?
I was just going to concur wholeheartedly with Councilor Zaret. I think our role is to assure public participation, questions, and any maps or issues get resolved thoroughly. So I'm in concurrence with not moving this forward at this time.
Councilor Riss?
Just to be clear, this is not a Verizon issue. This is an Eversource issue, Councilor Zaret?
Yes, and I see that there's a Verizon rep here. I'm assuming that's for Park Street, but if I'm incorrect, if that rep can speak to Ballard, certainly if they would like to raise their hand with your permission, President Coniff. But I have a feeling they're here from
Pike Telecom rep. If you have, or if you're there.
My point, Madam President, my point is that this is primarily an Eversource issue. And I believe Councilor Zaret's correct. We should get more involvement. If they were really urgently in need of this, they'd show up.
Right, I agree.
So I think a motion to move this to January 19th would be appropriate. That's just my opinion.
Have at it. Make a motion.
If I may, Madam President, make a motion to extend or continue the hearing until January, our next meeting scheduled currently for January 5th.
Okay.
No, it has to be January 19th, please.
January 19, because yes, sorry.
Thank you very much, Councilor.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second to extend the public hearing for poll locations to January 19th, 2022. All those in favor, Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
yes.
Peg Coniff.
Yes.
Erica Flood.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Park Street, Councilor Zaret.
This one, I think there's potential to be more successful on President Coniff. The request here is to place one jointly owned poll number T.52 1/2/E.52M on the west side of Park Street at a point approximately 86 feet northerly of the center line of South Street. This is a mid-span support to the existing pole line. It would be providing, I believe, telecom as well as high and low voltage transmission of electric current for, my understanding is a proposed solar field, although that's not necessarily relevant. It's needed though for expansion project over on Park Street. We met about this a couple weeks ago. We voted 3-0 to recommend this contingent on some more information provided by either Verizon or Eversource. The concerns were as follows. One being that we just couldn't determine in our mind's eye where exactly this pole would be. In the interim, we have all driven by there and looked at the site ourselves, and my understanding from discussing this with Councilor Kwasinski and Councilor Flood, but I'll certainly let them speak for themselves, that the position was not an issue. There was concern about the map that we were provided for this, that it was an older illustration of Park Street that did not include the roundabout, rotary, what have you. However, there was initially a request that wasn't replied to from the Eversource contact or the Verizon contact to provide us with appropriate schematics to reflect the roundabout or the circular piece of road infrastructure there, whatever you want to call it. I received a call from, I think it was a Verizon engineer or an engineer associated with the project. And after speaking to them and looking at where the stake for this proposed pole is, I think that the rotary is kind of a moot point. It doesn't really play into this request. And so I personally am not as concerned about this. And so that's what I can tell you about this project. It does, I do see the Pike Telecom rep Verizon here, President Conniff. I'm not sure if they're here to speak on this matter.
Sure, go ahead. Pike Telecom rep.
Hello, yes, my name is Jacob Lockman. I'm here representing Verizon. I was just wanted to say that we don't necessarily have any need for this pole, but it is all the electric, just basically agreeing with whatever Councilor Ozark said about it being an electrical project for the solar farm across the street.
Okay.
And I was also under the impression that this was related with the Williston School as well, too.
Is there thank you very much. Is there anyone on the council who has any questions, comments? Councilor Kwasinski?
I just wanted to say, I think Councilor Jarrett summarized very correctly. Initially, because the map wasn't available, it became, and because the map that was provided didn't show the roundabout. It was very difficult to try to place exactly where the pole was. Once I got there, I didn't have any problem, and I don't believe Councilor Flood did either. And so I certainly can move forward at this point.
Okay. Anyone else on the council? Anyone from the public have any comments about an electrical pole? Okay. Councilor Zarrett, go ahead.
Thank you, President Conniff. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to place one jointly on pole number T.521/2/E.52M on the west side of Park Street at a point approximately 86 feet northerly from the center line of South Street to provide mid-span support to the existing pole line to provide for the distribution of intelligence and telecommunications and for the transmission of high and low voltage electric current. Petitioner agrees to reserve space for one cross arm at a suitable point on the pole for fire, police, telephone signal wires, and other communication wires for the municipality and used by it exclusively for municipal purposes.
Second.
Motion second to approve the Park Street electrical pole. Barbara? Sorry. Any further discussion? Barbara?
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zarrett,
Yes.
Peg Conniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Councilor Zarrett. Councilor Rist?
Yes, thank you. Councilors, please be patient. We have 11 items to deal with. They are all non-controversial, and just to try and be efficient, all of them were passed by the Finance Committee 3-0 last evening, while 2 of them were not because somebody was late. Anyway, I wanted to just let you know that these should go by quickly. The first is a $53,000 inter-department transfer. We have to formally move money that is received from the franchise agreement for the PEG access account to a receipts account so that it can be used by Easthampton Media. Again, this is a formality. If you have questions, our auditor is here to answer them.
Any questions from the counselors? Any questions from the public? Comments from the public, I should say. I don't hear any, Dan.
I'll make a motion. I move that the full council approve an interdepartmental transfer. The amount requested is $53,000 to be transferred from the PEG access account, $53,000 to be transferred to the PEG access account, $53,000 for the purpose of giving approval to spend from the PEG access receipts reserved account for cable-related purposes consistent with the franchise agreement.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second for an interdepartmental transfer regarding the PEG access account. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
I abstain just due to my position as president of the board of directors of Easthampton Media.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next.
The next item is exciting. The Community Preservation Act has approved 9-0 a transfer of funds that will match funds that City Space is providing. They're going to start some second floor construction needed infrastructure improvements, HVAC improvements, boiler replacement and building improvements. They have a grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Facilities Fund that has to be used very soon or they lose it. And in order to use it, they need to have a match from funds that are already reserved by the CPA committee. As you recall, councilors, the budget process, we've been putting $250,000 each year into what's called an Old Town Hall second floor retained account. There's $1 million in it. We are transferring $255,000 from that account into a new account, which would be a construction account. It is not new money. It has already been appropriated, and it's necessary in order that City Space can also access a matching grant. And they will also use some donations to match the 255 for the total. I think it's 516,000 that'll be needed to do all this construction. This new infrastructure will be available for the entire building, but is necessary as targeted by the architects for the second floor. It is the only thing they could pull out of the project that would be able to be done at this time. I'd like to invite Burns Maxey, president of City Space, to embellish my remarks. Burns?
Go ahead, Burns.
Thank you, Counselor. Yes, you're absolutely right. So this was essentially part of the transformation campaign for the Old Town Hall. And this is a portion of that project that we found in this past year when looking into phasing the project, just because we were looking at options. Previously, our architect said that was not feasible, but we went back to them and looking at a couple of grants out there, and they said, actually, you can take this part out of the project and phase it in first, because it's not as interconnected with some of the second floor aspects that we'll be putting in as the phase 2 for the completion of the project. So this is a really exciting aspect, even though it's not putting in the elevator and outfitting the second floor. What it is putting in some of the systems in place that we had included as part of the original project. It includes HVAC, boiler removal, as well as updating some of the building's electrical systems, which is really key for that second floor. And essentially, it is the only aspect that we were able to find to separate it out from the other systems that are in place. This will happen over the course of the next year, and from January through November. And essentially, it'll wrap up and we'll be able to hopefully apply for more Massachusetts Cultural Facilities Fund funds. We are not allowed to apply for those until we expend those funds. So this will open up that funding opportunity again.
Just a little interesting thing that I found out from our former mayor, Mike Tosdick. This particular boiler was actually a boiler that was in 50 Payson. So you know how old it is. So I'm glad they're replacing it. Any questions?
We like to hang on to things in this city, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Anyone on the council have any questions of either Burns or Dan? Anyone from the public have any comments? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you, Burns. Not seeing any? Dan.
I will make a motion for intra-departmental transfer request from the Community Preservation Act. The amount requested is $255,576 to be transferred from the Old Town Hall second floor construction retained city match account 255,576 to be transferred to the Old Town Hall second floor construction project account $255,576 for the purpose of construction of phase 1 HVAC improvements, boiler replacement, and building electrical upgrades.
Second.
Motion and a second for an intra-departmental transfer request for city space. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Passes. Dan?
Thank you. Thank you, Burns.
Burns.
The next item is another Community Preservation Act request. It's for $5,730 for the Park and Rec Department to get historical designations for the Dalyfield Stonehouse bathroom, the Brookside Cemetery building, and the Brookside Cemetery grounds. This historical designation, once achieved, will allow the Park Department to secure grants, historic grants to help fund those renovations, especially the bathroom. So the CPA committee approved this 9-0, as did the Finance Committee 3-0. Mr. Mason is here if anybody has any questions of him. This is straightforward, getting the historic designation started in a process for it.
Anyone on the council have any questions? Anyone from the public have any comments? Not seeing any, Dan.
Okay, John, you don't have anything to add? I guess this is pretty straightforward. Are you there?
No, you summed it up very well. The only thing I would add is that we are partnering with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and Shannon Walsh, who is a historic preservation planner. So this is right up her alley, and getting meeting the standards for state, local, and national registry for historical designation will be huge for potential funding opportunities moving forward.
Thank you, John. So I'll make the motion, Madam President.
Please.
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation from the Community Preservation Act. The amount requested is $5,730 to be transferred from the CPA Reserve for Historic Resources, $5,730 to be appropriated to the Park and Rec Historic Designation Account, $5,730 for the purpose of hiring a consultant to prepare National Register Historic Designations forms for the Dalyfield Stonehouse bathroom, Brookside Cemetery building, and the Brookside Cemetery grounds.
Second.
Motion second for a supplemental appropriation for the historic designation for the parks. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is also a Community Preservation Act account request, $14,600 for the Park Department to begin Nonotuck Pool restoration design phase hiring consultants for the pool infrastructure and design improvements to the surrounding area. As we stated at the CPA meeting and last night, the pool is still functioning. This is to start getting it ready to be designed for improvements and maintenance, as well as improvements to the surrounding area, including accessibility. I'll let John speak further to it, but the CPA voted 9-0 for it.
John, do you have any comments?
Nice job, Dan. Yeah, Dan covered it pretty good, but this is a two-phase approach. We're going to work with Nationwide Aquatics Consulting, and they are more of the mechanics of the pool, filtration system, equipment, contractors, things that are the running of the pool itself, upgrading those, working with specific contractors and using his recommendation for equipment costs, things like that. So that's the Nationwide Aquatics piece for consulting. The second part of this is working with Beta Group for upgrades to the pool deck area, surrounding areas, shade structures, possible solar options, new fencing, accessibility to the spray park, and then accessibility to various parts, to the playgrounds and things like that. So they're going to come up with 3 designs as part of this proposal, and then overall costs, estimates, and potential construction costs for this. The pool is ADA accessible currently, so we do meet those standards. It's more about just improvements, if there's anything we can do to improve accessibility.
Thanks, John. Anyone from the council have any comments or questions of John or Councilor Kwasinski?
John, I please forgive me if I didn't catch something, but is your hope that you're going to be able to have the pool open for the new season, given any repairs that may be required, or is that too soon to tell? I know this past season, for a variety of reasons, it was very difficult to get lifeguards and the staff. And gosh, it seems like it's such an important resource, and I know all of us want to do everything to help move that forward.
Yeah, so last year it was more of a not human service, but a lack of lifeguards. We did reach out. We are going to start earlier with our outreach regarding lifeguards. What we've done in the past is set up a program where we would actually reimburse new lifeguards who got trained to be lifeguards. So if they completed their service with us throughout the summer, they would get reimbursed the lifeguard expense of getting registered as lifeguards. So we're working with that again. And then the pool is operational, so we are comfortable being able to get it reopened for this year. The amount of work, we took the opportunity during the pandemic when the pool was shut down to do infrastructure work that we could do in-house. So we did things, in this Nationwide Aquatics, who's been here 10 years ago to look at our pool, was impressed of what was done to kind of limp the pool along to get where we're at. So we have continued to work on the pool, even though it wasn't open. We did take that opportunity to get stuff done down there. So we're comfortable that it will be able to be reopened.
Thank you, John, Madam President.
Councilor Rothschild.
Hi, John. If you have any flyers or any information about the program to reimburse lifeguards that you can send to the council so we can help recruit.
Sure. Yeah. So we'll be looking. We look at that the end of January, beginning of February.
Okay.
So I will send that information out.
And when do you anticipate they'll have the design proposals, and will those? Where will we get to see those?
Well, thank you for meeting before the first of the year. That's for sure. I am actually going to email them tonight to let them know that they can start. And I've actually reached out to them previously to let them know that the meeting was tonight, and I want to get by the first of the year, I want them rolling on this. So they're ready to go to hit the ground running. So they didn't give me a specific time frame, but I would anticipate 60 to 90 days to get turn around on this information.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the council? Anyone from the public? I'm not seeing any. Dan?
Okay, I'll make a motion for the full council to approve a supplemental appropriation request from the Community Preservation Act. The amount requested is $14,600 to be appropriated from the CPA Reserve Fund account for $10,412 and the CPA Undesignated Fund for $4,188 for a total of $14,600 to be appropriated to the Nonotuck Pool Restoration Design, $14,600 for the purpose of for Nonotuck Park Pool Facility Restoration Design Phase, hire consultants to access pool infrastructure and design improvements to the surrounding area, including ADA accessibility.
Second.
Motion second for supplemental appropriation from the CPA for the Nonotuck Pool Restoration Project. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
The next item is $1,400 to improve central purchasing to give to central purchasing for postage for the retirement board. It's an amount needed because we wanted to catch up on the retirement postage. To provide retirement postage through our central purchasing for the retirement board. It's just more efficient, and we approve that 3-0 at the finance committee level.
Anyone from the council have any questions? Anyone from the public have any comments? Seeing none, Dan?
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $1,400 to be transferred from free cash account, $1,400 to be transferred to the central purchasing postage account, $1,400 for the purpose of incorporating postage for retirement board into central purchasing postage budget.
Second.
Motion and a second for supplemental appropriation for the Community Relations Committee support. Any further discussion?
No, this is for postage.
Hold on. I moved my piece of paper for central purchasing postage.
There you go.
Sorry. All right.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Counselor Rist, real
Yeah.
quick, and for the rest of the council, I need to step away for 1 minute so you can run with the next couple of, until I get back. Okay?
You want me to take over voting and all that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'll be right back. Thanks.
You're okay. The next two items, councilors, are very similar, and I'm going to have one is for Workman. They're both for Workman's comp accounts. One's for the fire and police account, and the other is for school and city workers account. This is to catch up our budget, unexpected administration costs and other costs. And it'll, as we found out last night, this will get us through to the end of the year. Although I will move each one individually, I will ask Emily now to explain both at the same time. Emily Russo, are you still here?
Hi, yeah. Yeah, so one is $14,000 for our fire and police workers comp. So that one is
$13,100 for fire and police. 14,000 for school.
1,300 for fire and police for the 111F. So that one was just unanticipated expenses that we had, I think, hired 2 more firefighters this year and a little bit more administration fees than we had planned. And then the other one, which was for $14,730, that one is for school and city, just because I think there was a few more hires this year after COVID. And I think COVID also made a little bit of an uptick for our workers' comp expenses. So just covering us through the end of the year with all our premiums, and then we'll be fresh for the next coming year.
Okay, so both of these items are just catching up on our budget, make sure we have enough money in these accounts. Any questions from counselors? Okay. Any questions from the public or comments from the public? Since you're back, Madam President, I will do a motion for one and the other.
Sounds good.
The first is supplemental appropriation request. The amount requested is $1,324 to be transferred from free cash. $1,324 to be transferred to the 111F workers' comp account, $1,324 for the following purpose: for fire and police accident and sickness policy renewal, remaining balance, unanticipated expense in fiscal year 22 budgeting.
Second.
Motion and a second for a supplemental appropriation for fire and police accident sickness policy renewal. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye.
The next is another supplemental appropriation for workman's comp issues. The amount requested is $14,730 to be transferred from free cash to be transferred to school workers comp account, $5,675, and from the city workers to be transferred to the city workers comp account, $9,055 for the following purpose: for workers comp employee coverage policy renewal, remaining balance, unanticipated expense in FY22 budgeting. I move that the full council approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve a supplemental appropriation for a workers' comp account. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The next item is for a pay plan COLA, cost of living increase in their plan for all members of the pay plan. As you know, they do not have an organized union, our pay plan employees. And the mayor has added this I believe it's a 2% increase, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, for next year. The Finance Committee approved it 3-0. This will give each of our pay plan employees much needed COLA increase. Mayor, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I mean, just that I think the COLA increase this year is more important than ever, given inflation is going up. The COLA plus the step is helpful. I don't think it covers the gaps, but absent a CBA agreement or personal contracts, it's the best way that the city can do this. So, I'm looking obviously for support for our hardworking pay plan employees.
Just a point of information, the pay plan ordinance needs to be adjusted. It's a formality, and that unfortunately didn't get into this agenda. It'll be placed under new business on January 5th, and we'll set a public hearing for that so that this money can be distributed. As I understand it from Barbara, this has to be done before this can happen. So that'll all be done by January 19th, I hope. Any other questions from the council?
I have a question. If this is delayed until the 19th, would it then is this retroactive to January, or does it not start until?
Yeah.
I see nodding heads, so okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay. I make a motion for the full council to approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $462.13 to be transferred from the Cannabis Impact Account, $27,462.13 to be transferred to the individual employee wage accounts listed in the amounts listed in the last column of the spreadsheet that was provided, $27,462.13 for the purpose of increasing income to keep up with the rising cost of living and increase in the minimum wage.
Second.
Motion and a second for a supplemental appropriation for COLA increases. Any further discussion? Barbara. Oh, I said Barbara, sorry. I said it twice.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye.
The next item is $27,000 for the third phase of the archival records project that Barbara is undertaking. She'll explain more, but this is specific to cover labor, materials, and records that are at the public safety complex and records that are at the Council on Aging. As you recall, councilors, this will organize those records and provide an index so that if records need to be found, they can be easily located. It will also determine perhaps which records can be thrown out based on state law. Barbara, can you add something to that if needed?
Sure. Yep, this phase will go to the public safety complex and the Council on Aging. And I just wanted to add that if there was a change of location on either of those places, this is actually a good thing to do because it will have cleaned some stuff out. The shelving is movable, so if there is ever a change of location, this stuff can be moved. We may also, because we're reusing some shelving that we had here in the town hall, we've discovered some what looks to be personnel records out at Whitebrook Middle School stored in the pool area. And depending on whether the school department is interested, we may be able to also take a look at them and see what they are and whether we need to keep them. And, you know, it would be helpful because, you know, this company knows what to look for. I looked at the records and I didn't know what they were. So if we can get them out of the pool area before the school is taken down and upstairs, we could include this in it. But I have spoken to both the police chief and the Council on Aging director, and they're good to go with this work starting. It probably won't be until sometime in the spring.
Councilor Kwasinski.
Madam President, I know in the past, and Barb, please correct me if I'm mistaken, that we've used CPA funds for records preservation. It sounds like these are records that are not historic records, and
Right.
that's why we're not using historic preservation CPA funds.
Right. The only part of the project I used CPA money on was the really old stuff that was down in the basement of the town hall, the things that were stored in the old safe. And I really wasn't sure what they were. And, you know, we didn't really find too much, but there were some interesting things. The public safety complex has got a lot of stuff, and the Council on Aging is same boat. I mean, obviously, it'll all be checked out, but I don't see anything of historic value in either place.
Good. That answers my question. Otherwise, I would really question why we would be not using CPA funds.
Yep.
So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else on the council? Any comments from the public? Okay.
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $27,000 to be transferred from free cash, $27,000 to be transferred to the City Archival Records Project Phase 3 account, $27,000 for the purpose of completing Phase 3 of the City Records Management Project. Funding will cover labor and materials to continue records work at the Public Safety Complex and Council on Aging. It will also include funding to cover the allowable destruction of records in accordance with the state municipal records retention schedule.
Second.
Motion and a second for a supplemental appropriation for the City Archival Records Project Phase 3. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye.
The next item is a $10,000 request from the mayor's office to provide support for the Community Relations Committee for educational public forums and to create a budget for that. We approved this 3-0, and the mayor can explain this. And also, just so everybody knows, this entire this project or these funds will be supervised by the mayor's office. Mayor LaChapelle.
Yes, I put this forward. The Community Relations Committee for some time has been asking for funding to do community engagement and or trainings under their scope of being a committee. I wanted to fund to some part or give them the opportunity to put together programming. The $10,000 will be exclusively for them. The committee would have to, put together a plan, a budget, and whatnot. Make sure that it's appropriate under state regulations to have the money spent. My intention for fiscal year 23 would be to put something in the budget that's for them on a regular basis, looking at mayor pledge recommendations. But I did not want to wait. So I'm asking now.
JP, is that from before or is this for this item?
This is for this item.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to thank the mayor for bringing this forward. I think this is an appropriate use of the funds. I wholeheartedly endorse, and I hope that the funds can be used to help bring good programs to our communities.
Anyone else on the council? Any comments from the public? Not seeing any. Go ahead, Councilor Riss.
I'd like to make a motion then that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $10,000 to be transferred from the Cannabis Stabilization Fund, $10,000 to be transferred to the Community Relations Committee Support Account, $10,000 for the following purpose: educational public forum budget for the Community Relations Committee.
Second.
Motion and a second for supplemental appropriation for the Community Relations Committee support. Any further conversation? Barbara.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Dan.
The next item, the last item, I'm sure you're all happy to hear that, is $150,000 for legal services for the Easthampton Union Street corridor. It's also to pay property owners for these easements. There are 23 property owners involved in this major project for Union Street. This is the first step in getting those easements and for city attorney fees to get the legal services done. There will be plenty of information coming. The next step will be an order of taking. I'll let Jeff Bagg, our planner, briefly tell us a little more on this, but it's straightforward. This project is so important to the city, and there's going to be a lot of legal issues because there's a lot of property owners involved.
Go ahead,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Thank you both. Thanks, Councilor Riss, for the introduction. I will be brief, but I did want to just explain it a little bit and give a quick preview because I think this is kind of one of the most commonly talked about projects, and I know you all probably get questions. I get questions walking down the street every day about it, but this is we're close to final steps here, and over the past couple of months, we have the city has hired an appraiser who has gone out and done appraisals for. There's actually 32 properties in total. And we have actually secured 9 donations. And at the next meeting, I'll kind of go through and we'll articulate who those 9 donors are, but that's been helpful. There are 23 property owners who are owed some compensation, and it's temporary easements that allows construction workers to be there. It also will allow the reconstruction of sidewalks there. And then there are some permanent easements. that will slightly expand the right-of-way of Union Street to accommodate the project. And then there's permanent utility easements. So if we need to move a pole and it happens to go outside of the right-of-way, it's going to go on someone's property, and we're going to take a permanent easement for that. So, the total amount that's called a summary of damages that we have been provided is $88,890. So that's going to be subject to a full council meeting next time. But so about $89,000 will be going to pay property owners. And then there's $22,000 estimated in legal fees for the city attorney, who's been working kind of pretty hard on this. I've been working on it along with Dan Murphy, the city engineer. So we really kind of have this trifecta of a team really pushing this project hard. I just wanted to take this opportunity, because this has been such a long awaited project, that the next council meeting will really be the big one. Actually, not the next, sorry. We're aiming for the council to have a public hearing on January 19th, which will be when you vote to actually issue these funds. And that's going to be what Dan mentioned in the order of taking. And so it's pretty important to say that this is an order of taking. So this is not negotiable. This is going to be what the property owners are offered for the way that the property impacts their properties. We'll have all that information transmitted to the council. It'll hit the January 6th agenda. We refer to subcommittee and come back out on the 19th. And with that, I just wanted to kind of preview, I get questions a lot just walking around town. It has been quiet, so to speak, but just to recap real quick, we had a 25% design hearing in January 2020. And then the 75% design plans were completed in October 2020. And then from October to June, our consultant was preparing the final, or so-called 100% design plans. And those were completed in June of 2021. And since that time, we've been going back and forth with Mass DOT in this really elaborate dance. In September, they gave us the go-ahead to start the appraisal process. So since September, the appraisals have been happening. The offer letters have gone out to property owners as of December 9th. And we are aiming to go to you on January 19th for kind of the vote on the order of taking. And then we are trying desperately to hold on to the timeline to keep the project to go out to bid in March or April. And then it would be about a month after that construction might actually start. It's been tenuous and difficult and challenging, but we're trying to hold on to that spring construction schedule. And so your involvement in this is critical, and this is just the money to set aside. The offer agreements have gone out, and then we'll come back to council, with the subcommittee and then full council on January 19th to kind of really go through this. It's going to be a huge packet. The offer letters themselves, the offers to 23 property owners, is 315 pages long, because it's going to include an appraisal, a just compensation report, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're going to stash that in a place online that it'll be publicly available, and we'll provide a cover letter to the council. So that's kind of a quick overview for such a kind of a long, drawn out process that I know a lot of people are curious about.
Thank you, Jeff. Just to be clear, you're going to provide the order of taking request on January 5th, and we will schedule a public hearing on the 19th, because if I'm hearing you correctly, this will provide a timeline to get this project started in the spring. We'll actually put shovels in the ground, which would be great. So that's why we're trying to get this done by the 19th, correct?
Yep, that's the idea. Thank you very much for summarizing that.
Okay. All right. Councilor Kwasinski has a question, Madam President.
I was just going to check my ears. Did I hear correctly? Shovel in the ground in the spring. Yay!
There were people who told me not to say that at all. But I know that's what everyone wants to know. That's what everyone wants to know. But it has been complicated. This has been a very circuitous path through the TIP program. We're optimistic, but I have to say, there's not much that would derail that. But we've been really trying, with the mayor's help. This has been kind of like a team huddle to try to keep this going, and that's the target, Councilor Kwasinski. So we'll know pretty soon. But that's been the effort. That it's been a quiet really loud, like loud behind the scenes, but quiet out front.
Just to be clear, we're hoping for construction, but we know legal services could derail things. I see the mayor shaking her head. So just to be clear to the public, we hope we could get this project started, but it's a massive project. And the other thing, to be clear, you're not going to give us 315 pages in the council packet. You're going to give us a link to where we can read them and the public can read all those documents?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. I appreciate that personally. Any other?
Anyone else from the council have any comments or questions of Jeff? No. Anyone from the public have any comments? Okay.
Madam President, I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation for the amount of $150,000 to be transferred from the cannabis account, $150,000 to be transferred to the legal services easement Union Street corridor, $150,000 for the purpose of covering the cost to acquire temporary and permanent easements for the Union Street tip project.
Second.
Motion and a second for a supplemental appropriation for the Eastman Union Street corridor project. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Madam President, I move the public hearings be closed.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearings. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Motion, the public hearing is now closed. We kind of went fast through communication from elected officials. One last call on do any of the elected officials have anything they would like to say before we move into mayor communication? Okay, that's good because I want to take a few minutes and I'm not going to recognize anybody after this. So we're going right into mayoral. I did, as this is my last city council meeting, I wanted to take the opportunity to say a formal and public farewell. I was elected to the Easthampton City Council, and I'm going to cry, in 2015. I was honored to be chosen by my colleagues to be city council president in 2020. There have been many challenges and some successes along the way. The experience, however, has always been one that I will forever be grateful for. And that is how I leave today, with gratitude. I shouldn't have done this. I knew I shouldn't have done this. I am so fortunate to have been part of a local government in Easthampton, which is the best city in Massachusetts. We are a city of passionate residents. We disagree about things both great and small, but we generously lend a hand when others need help. We love music and shopping and kids and eating. We have some of the best restaurants around right here. We cherish our small businesses, the arts community, and our pets. We love Mount Tom, both the ice cream and the mountain. We are a community in every sense of the word, and to have played a small role in helping to guide Easthampton forward has been a privilege. And I thank you for the opportunity. I also want to thank Mayor Karen Cadger, all city department heads, both past and present, for your commitment to Easthampton and for helping me become a better city councilor. Police Chief Alberti, I expect you will find it easier to get police cruisers now that I am leaving. Fire Chief Norris, I thank you for your spreadsheets. City Planner Bagg, I thank you for at least attempting and mostly failing to keep your presentations short. City Auditor Hadel Patel for tolerating me and my style, but showing great talent and acumen when trying to keep our books squared away, and I appreciate that. Lindsay Mailer for basically being my go-to for answers on anything pertaining to Easthampton, and for having the best candy drawer in City Hall, but on second thought, that may belong to Personnel Director Emily Russo. And a huge thank you to City Clerk Barb LaBombard. Barb makes all city meetings happen as if by magic. The hours and hours and hours Barb spends to pull city council packets together for each meeting is heroic. The city council is an entity of 9 personalities who gravitate toward Barb's office for a wide variety of questions almost daily. I don't know how she tolerates us, but since she's been here for 30 years, I am pretty sure she loves each and every one of us. 30, was that 35? Well, 30 plus.
No, 38 and a half.
Okay. So of course you do love us. Thanks for absolutely everything, Barbara. I also want to thank Easthampton Media for working with me throughout the pandemic to figure out technical solutions in order to bring government meetings to all of you. The work they do is amazing. They are technical wizards, and we are so lucky to have them. Thank you to my city council colleagues. I appreciate the varying perspectives you all bring to the table. I've learned so much in the past 6 years about local government in general and Easthampton specifically. Thank you for the work you do, the hours you put in every week to research, discuss, question, and find solutions for anything and everything that crosses your path. I'm thankful to the friends I have made on the council and that we can remain friends even when we disagree. It has been my honor to serve alongside you. One more minute. I especially want to thank Vice President Dan Rist for his guidance, mentorship, and friendship over the past 2 years as I navigated the finer details of being a city council president for the first time and during a pandemic. It was never dull, and I could not have done it without your honesty, your encouragement, and your support. Thank you, Dan. And thank you to Mayor Nicole LaChapelle for our vigorous conversations over the past 4 years. And while we do not always agree, I often come away from our discussions feeling a bit smarter. Thank you for your dog, Magnolia, who believes she's in charge and often is, and I'm pretty sure she likes me the best of any human. And thank you, Mayor, for your support and friendship. It has been amazing. And lastly, I want to thank the people of Easthampton. Thank you for being so honest in our conversations and sharing so much of your lives with me. I hope at the very least I didn't make things worse and sometimes made things a bit better. And while I'm leaving Easthampton government, I am not leaving Easthampton. I hope to see you all in the future around town, but please, I beg of you, do not ask me about potholes. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and stay awesome, Easthampton. Thank you.
Madam President, you cannot, I have to speak because this is not fair. I thought that I should not speak until the end in order to prevent emotional things happening. So I am going to
I almost made it.
Make my comment now because you've done it.
I've done it now.
I wanted to thank both of our departing counselors, and I think this is the appropriate time. Erica, you have, although your tenure was brief, your impact will not be soon forgotten. Please know that this city councilor is so very thankful for your service when you so enthusiastically filled the vacancy we had. I do hope your talent will find another way to help our city and our city government. Madam President, Peg, I can't say enough how proud I have been to be your vice president. See, you started this and I'm...
Sorry.
And to have assisted you in your remarkable run as our president. You successfully kept our council going while suffering the slings and arrows of an outrageous pandemic. A little Hamlet in there for you.
That's good.
You have been fair and honest in your dealings with all of us and the public. Your efforts at improving transparency in government is your legacy. You have demonstrated that it is quite clear that women can lead in any government with great success. Thank you so much for all you have done to make Easthampton a better place to live. Councilors, unmute and let's make a round of applause, please.
No need. Thank you. Bless you, Lindsay. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Dan, I was going to ask that that the chair or the president rather relinquish her to you, the committee, because I certainly wanted to just say a few words on behalf of Councilor Coniff, President Coniff. I think that it should go in the record books that you and this council served during one of the most difficult times this city has experienced. The challenge of facing a new presidency, but then to be challenged with the pandemic, with Zoom, with training all of us, with keeping everything together, I think was particularly relevant. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much. And to recognize Councilor Flood as perhaps the only person, I hope, that we can eventually get back together when it's safe to do so. But the only counselor to have never met in person in the history of this city council. So thank you, Councilor Flood, for all your thoughtful opinions, for your voice, and we hope you're present here around in the future.
Also, if I might add for the record books, the first counselor to be appointed via ranked choice voting. Very happy to be a guinea pig on that one. And I just want to extend my thanks to all of you. It's been a pleasure, and the work is not done, and we all have side projects we'll be working on together moving forward. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Erica. Okay. Now we will move into, oh so delicately, Mayor Communications, Mayor LaChapelle.
Yes, I have communication, President Coniff. So I missed the opportunity, but the pool design and whatnot, thank you for the support there. I think I love the idea of a public forum or maybe some kind of a meeting hearing with the Park and Rec Commission, if John and the commission is open to that, to kind of lay out all the plans and get public comment, what we've done. Similarly, over on Parson Street, Councilor Flood was there when we walked the walk. I think there's a great opportunity to do that. And I also think it would be a good opportunity to get people who maybe would not or do not like frequent the park, or only do one thing in the park, to see the process and the potential. And hear about the plans of how we get through funding that. I do want to also, and I hate reading from, so today, well, I'll start with something nice. If you go to easthamptonma.gov and you're on the page, you scroll down just a little bit, and on the left, you can click on Notify Me. Notify Me then brings you to a list with check boxes of every department, agendas, public safety, community events, and you will get at your choice either an email with very specific information only on the boxes you check, or you can get a text. And the text would be like tonight, a link to City Council. Actually, it came out a couple of days ago. Tonight or today, we had a link go out that talked about there's still money in the Affordable Housing Fund. All of the press releases, you can just click press release. You'll get all the press releases on via a text or an email. This service goes through our encrypted website. We do not capture the data and sell it or share it or use it for any other, like for, tax purposes or, a butter notices. It is solely for information, official and approved by the city, going out to residents or anybody who signs up to it. So the signups are gradually increasing, but folks may think that they get every announcement in the city and they can pick and choose. You might just want planning, or DPW, or City Council, or what events are going on, traffic, when there's a traffic. So I really encourage people. We're about to add a couple of categories. One includes small business. So small business owners or any business owners or anybody wants to. In COVID, we really had trouble communicating or didn't get the communication out to a lot of the small businesses, say in the mills in particular. So to get a text, we're doing a with leadership Pioneer Valley, Lindsay Mailer, who is an alum of that program. I think Jeff Begg is too. Approach them to do a business inventory of the businesses we're going to start in the Mill District, and then email all of those folks and say, please sign up for Notify Me, and we will send you only, grant opportunities or whatnot. Well, it's not a sales pitch, and the information stays on that list, and we're not going to use it for a general list. These categories, I think there's like 11 now, are different from Code Red. So Code Red is for like the 911, hey, big deal, like what we've been using it for historically. And there might be some overlap with the cities, but Code Red is very different. It's a different system. It's got a very specific scope for emergencies. So there might be in the winter, the mountain may close. That would come over Code Red. For that, it might also come over DPW just because it's related, but Code Red is always going to have that information. So please take it, check it out. The service is called Notify Me. We don't have the ability to call, like do a robocall. And when we talked to other cities who had tried phone call, like email, text, and phone call, the phone calls were, they just weren't liked at all. People found them annoying and whatnot. So right now we're just building up the list for text and emails. The other thing I hope,
Omar, did you have a question of the mayor?
I just want to make a comment. Thank you, Madam President. If you go to the right side and the bottom part of the website, they give you the option to change the language. So if anyone speaks another language, you can go there and they will change the language completely. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Well, I'll just, along with that, when we switch permanently to Meets, I've been using Meets a lot, and the option for closed caption, but also changing the language is really easy to do. I couldn't speak what the translation's like because I only speak English, but it's very easy to do. At least it's a tiny step forward. So in the new year, we'll have the ability for closed caption and changing the language there. Our epidemiologist, Megan Ward Harvey, has been doing an excellent job with the COVID updates. You can get the dashboard from the Public Health Notify Me screen. It comes right to your phone, click on it, and there's a graphic. Easthampton, I feel like it's a broken record, a very sad broken record. Our numbers are going up dramatically. And it's community and it's breakthrough, and it's really not a clear picture of why. Testing in the city has been helpful because we can see how many people, the more tests we get, we can take a look at our data in Easthampton by zip code, and also adding in booster shots and whatnot. We're going to start doing some shots. We do not qualify for the free rapid tests right now, but we're told in the second part of the winter that we probably will. They'll open the program. I think it has to do with, I don't know what it has to do with. I don't even have anything to say to that. But Holyoke, Northampton qualify because of their rate of infection, transmission and infection. All that said, as the holidays approach, I just want to read a short statement that community leaders got today, literally an hour ago or 2 hours ago, from Bay State Health. Currently within Bay State Health, we are caring for 120 hospitalized patients with confirmed COVID-19 infection. 19 are in critical care. Patients by Bay State Health Hospital Bay State Medical, 94 confirmed. Bay State Franklin, 7 confirmed. Bay State Wing Hospital, 11 confirmed. Bay State Noble, 8 confirmed. We will continue to closely monitor our curves as the states ease restrictions and mass gatherings continue. Careful vigilance will also provide early clues to any potential recurrent surge of the regional pandemic. The crisis of demand for hospital and emergency care in the state of Massachusetts continues. As of last week, there were 9,200 patients in acute care hospitals in the state. This is well over the approximate 8,000 that would be expected at this time of year before the pandemic, and even more than was seen last year at this time. In Western Massachusetts, I'm going to say it again, in Western Massachusetts, the number of COVID-19 hospitalizations has risen over 80%. 80%. And this is not people, the cases confirmed and expected are one thing, but we know they have people in the hospital with COVID-19 has gone up 80%. And it is December 15th. You can choose to believe in COVID-19 or not. I don't really care. As long as your conscience can sit clear with you not knowing who you could infect or be infected or transmit to somebody, even if they're vaccinated, that do not have the immune system that they need to get through COVID-19. If you're okay walking into a building and not have a mask on and really don't care if you get somebody sick, it's your conscience to clear. It's really, really obvious. Social distancing, masks, avoid large gatherings. Don't go out to eat if you can't. And I know the business community, like I can always see Facebook and my texts are about to blow up after I said that, but this is no joke. And we're still dealing with the Delta variant. Even if the next variant isn't as strong or whatnot, it certainly is strong enough to kill somebody if they're 10 years old and they have asthma and it just happens to hit them the wrong way. Losing one life to any variant, whether it's strong, whether it's not, whether you think you're immune because you've had COVID. I have a family member who's had COVID now 3 times, and he is fully vaccinated and he has a booster. If you are okay walking around without using those basic precautions, especially if you're not vaccinated, and can have a clear conscience, go ahead. But no, it's still life or death for a lot of people out there. And those fighting against vaccinations and all of that, I just say shame. I just say shame on you. Going to something a little lighter. So I lost my, Erica, I just want to thank you for your service. For the amount of time you served on city council, the impact was huge. I really enjoy, and I know they're going to continue our very strong conversations about housing, affordable and otherwise in the city and in your neighborhood, and I look forward to those. I also look forward to continue to work with you on Easthampton Media and some very exciting things that maybe the city and Easthampton Media can work on together, and really help out a backbone organization of the city. Your leadership there is extremely notable, and especially walking through that organization in COVID and a lot of changes. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for stepping up and serving. It's not the most popular thing to do these days. And I think we can all agree that what you have to put up with as a public official is well beyond what one would expect, but right now is very, very contentious. So I thank you for your service. Congratulations on your wedding. And I hope to see you on a walkthrough, neighborhood event very soon. So thank you very much, Erica. I look forward to returning to elected office in like 3 or 4 years. But for now, I'll say goodbye and look forward to seeing you at a council seat or whatever seat. The city will be better for it, and it's better now, a year later after your service. So thank you. Okay, President.
Be nice.
So I'm going to thank you for your service. And thank you for service in the different, it seems every term that you served was very different, whether it was a new mayor, whether it was a pandemic, whether you were the czarina of vaccinations. You have brought a steady course to the council and therefore the city. I know in my short but seems long 4 years, I have thrown as a mayor, not as a person, as a mayor, so many things at the council in general, but a lot at you. And I know that you kind of twitch every time you see my name on the phone, and always worked just a great partner. And that's not because you're a yes person. That, you know, sometimes was like, what are you thinking, Mayor? You're not thinking, but this is what we can do. And we're not doing it tomorrow. Like, I'm not poor Barbara. But understanding just what was moving in the city, what were very unique opportunities, especially in the beginning of my first term, and getting it done and getting it before council, and observing public process and making sure things were heard. You have my unending respect for that. You are correct. Magnolia does love you better than any human in the world. So I will say that. I just think about the emotionality of what we've served. All of us have served, but certainly you as president, and I know your leadership, you are very intentional around leading and understanding what a president does and how that's different than a counselor and how that's different than a resident. And those are very, very tough boundaries to hold. And I certainly look to you several times for guidance and a reminder. I do that myself. If I had $1 for every time you asked me very seriously, is this the hill you want to die on, Mayor? Is this the hill? So there were a lot of hills I chose not to. And I wish I had $1 for every time I didn't. But thank you as mayor and being a true partner and helping me as a new mayor, but also governing in a pandemic to make the best possible decisions and not react with emotionality most of the times. And afterwards, being okay, but say, really, what did you get out of that? Your humanity and compassion and ability to take and listen to opinions that you completely don't believe in as a person, but recognize you are the president, the city council president of everyone in the city, is again, it's just outstanding. I do have some suggestions for you.
Oh, God.
I do think in your next role, whether that be a retiree or a member of the senior work-off program, you really have to work on your communication and your messaging. It's very unclear. It's very fuzzy. And I think it'll just serve you well in life if you just work on communications. And certainly as a friend, more than happy to help you. Never watch a city council meeting or a committee meeting ever again. And I stole that. I stole that actually tip from Claire Higgins, and that's what she told Dave Narkowitz to do. Just don't. You'll be tempted. Don't do it. Don't do it. Also, don't accept any calls from city employees or other electeds again in your lilife, including me, because I'll forget and I'll try to call you. I would say the biggest congratulations goes to Deb, your wife, who I know you love dearly and should love dearly, and she loves you too, that you'll enjoy retirement together and travel. So thank you very much, Peg. And I do know how to get to you through my personal phone number. So we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm done with Mayor Communications, and thank you for the opportunity to give a Jeff Bag type soliloquy. I can't even say it. Speech about you. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Okay, that was fun. We'll now go on to reports of standing committees. Finance, Councilor Rist.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. We do have some business. We do have a vote to be taken for a change of scope that was approved by the CPA committee 9-0. We have a rail trail account for the Manhattan Rail Trail project, which was started, I think it was 2009. It's been in there. We gave $50,000. There's still $25,985 in there in that account for the rail trail. And the CPA committee approved transferring it in what is known as a change of scope request. This doesn't require a public hearing, but unlike an intra-department transfer, this transfer requires the city council to approve it and the CPA, because we are changing what we originally appropriated the money for. We appropriated it to design the rail trail, and that's been done for years. CPA committee enthusiastically is happy that the balance in this project is being used by the planning department for a Payson Avenue rail trail crossing design, and also to improve the street sidewalks there. I'll let Jeff, you've already been challenged tonight to be brief, if you can briefly state it, but this is simply a change of scope, moving $25,985 from that old rail trail account into a new account for this Payson Avenue rail trail crossing. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. Would it be possible to let me share my screen for a moment? The only reason I want to do this because it's not just a transfer of funds. I think it's the key thing that's happening tonight, but there's a project in the wings, and I would like I think I can do it in 2 minutes to just share about the project.
I'm starting the timer.
Please start it.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Thanks. So Dan did the introduction. What we're looking at is this is the rail trail crossing on Payson Ave, and it's on a few of our project lists to upgrade. And the idea is that this could become a potentially raised crosswalk with rapid flashing beacons or some other signal to identify that people are going to be here. This is a pretty active crossing. And the beauty of this is that we are trying also to work with the same company that John's working with, the Beta Group. We're like ready in queue with them for them to come up with some design ideas. The real critical thing is that there's a program coming up in January, a grant that would fund the actual construction of this. And it's the Shared Streets and Spaces program through Mass DOT. And we've gotten 2 of those grants so far that are really focused on pedestrian safety improvements. So the goal is to reprogram the money, come up with some designs for this, and then try to get it funded. And the Mass DOT program funds projects for $200,000 or less. And so the couple other things that we added into this is that if you are in this intersection, this crosswalk is pretty much a no-no. It comes over and lands you on a curb and pretty much puts you into the road. If you are a person with mobility issues and you're trying to cross Railroad Street, this is not ADA compliant at all. So we're asking for that design to be looked at. And when you spin around, we're asking for the consultant to look at taking the sidewalk that goes down Payson Avenue and widening it, because this is and make it ADA compliant. This intersection right here, this little curb cut, and the one at 50 Payson, if you are in a wheelchair or if you're a person with a stroller, you dip down in the road. They're not ADA compliant. So the idea is to make this whole corridor more accepting of pedestrians. And the big picture is that if you're a resident out on Holyoke Street and you want to get to the new school, you're going to be coming down Payson Ave and you're going to be accessing the sidewalk, then accessing the rail trail and getting to the new school. This is the last crossing. That's one of the major ones. We've upgraded Ferry Street with the Mass Works project, and we're going to upgrade Union Street with the Mass DOT TIP project. And then we want to have this one upgraded. So our target is a program that could have this potentially under construction next summer. And so that's kind of the quick update for everyone. That's kind of one of our target projects that we're looking at in this reprogramming the money would be really critical for that.
Okay.
So thank you.
Mayor has her hand up.
Mayor? Go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to add, a great job, Jeff. I'm sorry I teased you earlier. But there might be some questions in the public or even on the council about why this intersection, why this part of the bike trail, another part needs more. But so this is a strategy that Planner Bag has very successfully used, and that's stacking. So Union Street will be redone, and then we do Payson. It makes a strong application because now there's a larger section of the bike path that have had these improvements. It's not that there's a lack of awareness that there are needed crossing improvements in other parts of the bike trail. But this, I don't want to say it's low hanging fruit, but it makes sense with the way the state looks at things. And, similar to the stacking grants we did this past winter and in other places, Cherry Street and whatnot. So I just wanted to emphasize that part of why this crosswalk, why now? And again, Planner Bag is looking forward and seeing that there might be a grant opportunity that's not available this minute, but we can be ready, shovel in the ground ready. And it's just a meeting of pleasantries. I will thank Planner Bag once again for his prescient planning. Thank you.
I will make a motion unless there's any other questions for the council. This is again a transfer of funds already appropriated for one project to a new project.
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion the full council approve to permit the use of CPA funds originally appropriated in 2009 for the Manhattan Rail Trail to be used for capital improvements to the Payson Avenue Rail Trail crossing and as matching funds for the creation of construction documents. The funds, the amount being $25,985.30.
Second.
Motion and a second to change the scope of the CPA funds allocated to the Manhattan Rail Trail. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zarrett,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rust.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I have some new business. In one motion, I'd like to move that the following be moved to the Finance Committee for review. The request to review the council clerk's stipend, City Ordinance Chapter 2, Section 7.5, and the request to review the pay grades of the City Council appointees, the clerk, assessor, and auditor, to move those to the Finance Committee for review.
Second.
Motion and second to move to request to the Finance Committee. Any further discussions? Barbara.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rust,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
I have three supplemental appropriations. I will move to the Finance Committee. As a first reading, the following appropriation is requested: $50,000 to be transferred from the enterprise retained earnings to be transferred to the fiscal year 22 water meter account, $50,000. For the following purpose, the Water Division replaces approximately 250 water meters annually. Cost per meter varies based on size and type. A standard residential size meter with integrated radio capability is approximately $200. The second appropriation requested is $112,000 to be transferred from the enterprise retained earnings account to be transferred to the fiscal year 22 wastewater treatment miscellaneous repair account. This funding will be used to perform the replacement of the following components of the city's wastewater system: grit chamber bucket elevators, Deserk air activated valves, Ashley Circle lift station redundant pump, cellular SCADA communication terminals, and the replacement of wastewater treatment plant process water strainer. The last one is a request of $42,655 to be transferred from the enterprise retained earnings account to be transferred to the fiscal year 22 Charles Street CDBG sewer improvement account, $42,655 for the following purpose. Sewer and drainage improvements on Charles Street were recently completed as part of the Admiral Street Neighborhood Community Development Block Grant Project. We are requesting $42,655 be appropriated from enterprise retained earnings to fund improvements on Charles Street that could not be covered by the grant funding. This work includes replacement of all sanitary and water infrastructure. I move that these three items be sent to the Finance Committee for review and also to be set for public hearing on January 19th, 2022.
Second.
Motion is second to move the supplemental appropriations to the Finance Committee and set a public hearing. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Hi.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye.
And finally, the Finance Committee will meet for 5 minutes to approve the minutes that our lovely president has provided so quickly and so wonderfully all these years next Tuesday at 5:30. That'll, if you want to say goodbye to Peg once again, you can come to that meeting. Anyway, that concludes, Madam President.
Thank you. Public Safety, Councillor Gomez.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to start scheduling the next meeting. We're going to have a meeting December 21st at 5 p.m. for the same purpose. We're going to vote for the minutes that we have pending. And we met a couple weeks ago, and we start working in the Ordinary Review Committee final report. We still have some items pending. I do start a conversation with the police chief to finish that. So we'll do a report for the next council, and the next council president, they will have that. And the sidewalks in South and Main Street, we decide to keep it until they finish the work on that particular corner. And the committee vote 3-0 to recommend an amendment to the traffic rules and order. And that's why I'm gonna move to, I'm gonna choose February 2nd as a public hearing for this, because I think the next council president will be appreciated of having this one and that meeting on January 19, because it's gonna be a lot of items in January 19. So I'll move to set a public hearing on January 19 at 6:15 to amend Appendix A Traffic Rules and Order, Section 1-24, parking prohibited in certain streets and all times, to add the following: Womelco Way, southerly side, entirely distance.
Second.
Motion and a second to set a public hearing for the review parking on Womelco Way and amending traffic rules and orders. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Hi.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
And in case I'm not going to be the chairman of the public safety, that we don't know yet, we'll have a report for the next chairperson of the public safety. That way they can go through all the business that we still have. And that concludes.
Thank you, Councillor Gomez. Appointments, Councillor Rothschild.
Hello. Good evening. So we had a nice, lively, fun meeting last time. JP and I had 31 appointments and 2 new appointments before us. We voted 2-0 to recommend all the appointments before us, except for the Manhan Trail. That was my error. I didn't include those, but I'm still going to make a motion, as I mentioned in my letter, to recommend an appointment for those 4 members. This is my letter, but I just want to say in public too, that there is not a master list for committees and boards. And this has been really challenging, and we need to have one. We need to have one to be able to communicate with the people on the committees and boards. And I think, there's different strategies, but I think maybe the chairs could be asked to provide an updated list from all their committees and boards. And there's also not there's not a contact information even on the website for every committee and board. And this is not okay if you're a resident and you want to get in touch with someone on one of those committees. So I'm just bringing that up. And also the Veterans Council hasn't met, I don't think since COVID has pushed us all onto Zoom. And so I'm just wondering how we can, how they can be helped to meet, even though we are now in a Zoom land. Or Google Meet land to become. So, they have work to do. We're reappointing people there and nothing's happening, or if it's happening, it's not happening in public meetings. So I'd like that addressed. We'd like that addressed. So I'm going to do this in chunks. We have 2 new appointments. So I'd like to make a motion to recommend, hold on a second, Maud Hack Frenchko to the ECA with a term expiration 12/31/2023, and Robert Newton to the Aquifer Protection Committee with a term ending 12/31/2022.
Again?
Did I hear a second?
Yes.
From
JP.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve 2 new appointments. Any further discussion?
If I may.
Councilor Kwasinski?
It's unusual at appointments to have a candidate who's done so much for the city come back after their retirement from their job and after leaving a major post, in this case with BayPAC. And I just thought it's important to note for those in the audience who may not know Dr. Robert Newton, if you would like to take the time to read his letter, you will find, and I know some of us here remember this, but he appeared before the council at a very critical time when Easthampton's aquifer was severely being threatened. And that was an expansion of the Northampton landfill. Huge expansion of the Northampton landfill was proposed. There were engineering reports, and those reports recommended the expansion. The environmental firm had been hired by the city, and it so happens that Dr. Newton was able to take a look at this, given his experience in underground geology, and he was able to along with the help of an assistant, to identify science, which helped us to essentially stop this expansion because aquifers and landfills just don't mix. So I would like to just put that on the record, and I'm thrilled that he's willing to join us on our Aquifer Protection Committee.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Barbara. You're muted, Barbara.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. I'm going to now do as a group the reappointments to the city positions. We have the city solicitor. Mark Tanner is up for reappointment. Carol Vito as the city tax collector, and Jennifer Gallant as the city treasurer. The city solicitor with a term ending 12/31/2022, and the tax collector and city treasurer with 12/31/2024. I'd like to make a motion to confirm their reappointments.
Aye. I'm sorry, second.
Well, we know how you're going to vote.
No suspense.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 3 city reappointments, solicitor, tax collector, and treasurer. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Hi.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Should I second the motion? No, aye.
Motion passes.
All right. So now we have 28 more. I did include a packet with I asked everyone to, I send those questions out that we had approved in this body. And it's just great to hear back from people and how enthusiastic they are about serving on committees and boards, and people showed up as well. Like I said, if there's answers missing, so it's because probably I didn't have the correct contact information. Also, I got endorsements from the chairs of the different committees. And so I think each and every person that is up for reappointment is making a valuable contribution to our city. And we're just happy to have them all back. So I would like to make the motion make a motion to approve the 28 reappointments in front of us.
Second.
Motion is second, and I'm just going to clarify that the term expiration for those.
Sorry, it's 12/31/2024.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so motion is second to approve the mayoral reappointments. Any further discussion? Councilor Zaret.
Yes, President Coniff, I'd like to speak to one of the appointments, and this may result in a amendment to the motion to vote separately on one of the items. So just from a point of order, I'll speak first, and then we can go from there if I'd like to make an amendment, if that's okay with you, Madam President?
Sure.
Okay, so as you're aware, there's a letter attached in the packet that I submitted regarding the reappointment of Eric Poulin to the Parks Commission. I feel like I need to speak on this item, certainly for my own conscience, and I want to be clear that I'm not here to sway the council, but I would be remiss in my duties if I did not bring this to the council. My observation of the individual, regardless of how anyone feels he's actually served on the Parks Commission itself, is his behavior publicly facing has been belligerent, misleading in some ways, defamatory towards public residents, elected officials, as well as departments, and just generally hateful. And to some degree entitled as well, in the sense that he seems to feel that he can make these statements without any repercussions. I want to give an example, one that caused me to receive multiple calls from city councilors, city officials, and residents alike that occurred, I think, sometime this spring. Wait. Police are abusing overtime? That would never, ever happen in Easthampton. And can you imagine a racist bootlicker like Zaret even questioning the police budget? Now, certainly I'm being addressed here, and I want to be very clear that I don't take this personally. I really have no personal feelings about it, but I have significant professional feelings as a city councilor and as someone responsible for voting to appoint this individual for a reappointment to the Parks Commission. This, I feel, is a product, the statement is a product of a long history of trolling, particularly me, by this individual as well as his surrogates. And look, part of being an elected official is showing up here every week or every other week and getting my butt kicked in every meeting, which frankly, I think you can all attest to the fact has certainly happened to me in a majority of cases for close to the last 2 years. But making statements like this, as well as when disagreeing how the Christmas tree went out in the pond, calling a individual who disagreed with this person's view that the folks that put the tree out were doing it for a photo op, to call them, and I apologize, the biggest internet asshole that ever lived. So this is someone we're going to appoint. This public-facing persona is someone we're going to reappoint to the Parks Commission. This is tantamount, in my opinion, to walking into your supervisor's office daily at work and tell them to go screw themselves and expect at your next performance review to get a raise. I feel that we have a duty to appoint individuals whose public-facing behavior is civil, kind, professional, and frankly accurate. Because some of also what I've seen on the internet recently from the same individual is information about our police department that is misleading. And this is relevant to his work on the Parks Commission, because I can speak for myself personally. If I ever were to put a matter before the Parks Commission on an item I was working for instance, actually the dog park, I know that I can infer that if I walk into that meeting that this individual will vote against that item because of the explicit bias expressed here. Similarly, because of sentiments expressed about our police department who do work in conjunction with the park for security issues and such, I can say that I feel strongly that if there were ever an issue to come up about the police working in conjunction with the parks, again, explicit bias, this individual would almost automatically vote against it. I don't have the faith that they would be able to be unbiased about these things. Now, I want to be clear. A diversity of opinions is encouraged here, but there's a distinct difference between expressing a disagreement on a vote or policy and just making blanket statements that target people are cruel, uncivil, and unprofessional. For the record, I've applauded this individual's good work in the past. They wrote a great op-ed about funding our library system, which I shared on social media and credited them for the sentiments expressed there, as well as their work on the Give 'em the Bird road race, which raises a ton of money. But this isn't a point system. The precedent's been set with Jim Valancourt and Kathy Gray. We discussed the fact that, unfortunately, statements made on social media or just statements made in general in a public-facing matter that are not becoming of, at least what I feel, are the values that we want and the qualities that we want in our applicants to allow them to be appointed. And I realize that this makes the council really uncomfortable, but I feel like voting yes on this appointment is like inviting a guest over to dinner who defecates on your dinner plate and then tells you to eat it. And I'm not eating that. And I would tell you right now, I would vote similarly on any certain future item, on any other appointee whose behaviors are brought to this council attention and is similar to this. So I'm a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any, Councilor Flood? Oh, well, go ahead.
Did Councilor Rothschild want to speak first? She is the chair and she had her hand up before me, so I just want to make sure.
Yep, she's
Go ahead.
So I just want to recognize that I was unable to attend this committee meeting, so the recommendations before you are not a result of my voice and my vote. Had I attended this meeting, I would have made sure we had a vigorous discussion on this candidate. I do want to applaud Councilor Zaret for his courage in speaking up tonight. I think it's extremely important. I think I want to give him credit for recognizing the positives that Mr. Poulin has contributed in the community. He's clearly a dedicated social justice activist and a friend of the library. However, I 100% agree that all of us should have a public face, whether it's in person or on social media, that is professional. And it doesn't matter how much money you raise and how much good you do if you turn around and bully those around you as well. And I'm going to call it as I see it. I've been the target of some of this behavior in the past. I don't find it appropriate, and I don't think positive fundraising can erase all the negative bullying that happens. So I too would like to separate the vote for this particular candidate out of the chunk of the rest of them, so we can have an accurate record of the vote on these candidates. I don't have any objections to the others on the list, but I do feel that it's important that this one be pulled aside for direct consideration.
Councilor Rothschild.
Well, I just want to say we did have a discussion at our committee meeting, and so I'm sorry that Councilor Flood wasn't able to be there to participate. I am feeling uncomfortable, and it's because we have free speech. And if people, and that is not our job as a city council to mediate the behavior of our residents. And I would also like to say that maybe Councilor Zarek should spend a little less time on Facebook and not being aggravated by things written there. And maybe if we were to peel back the emails that he sends to members of this body that are also not professional and have a lot of accusatory things.
Point of order, President Coniff.
Okay.
This isn't relevant. I'm not the person being appointed to the Parks
No, but
Commission.
you're pointing, you have a position to point fingers when you send inflammatory things that are not.
Point of order, President Coniff, the counselor is out of order. This is not relevant to me. We're discussing the merits of an appointee.
I understand. Lindsay, let's try to keep it to the.
I will keep it to that. I just want to say that by endorsing this candidate as a member of the Parks and Rec Commission does not mean that I condone everything he says or does, just like any other member of our committee or board. There's other people on our committees and boards that are also very virulent on Facebook and say a lot of inflammatory things. And I still voted to approve those people because that is not our role as arbiters of free speech and behavior as city councilors, unless it directly affects the committee or board that they're sitting on and the work that they're doing there. So we did have a vigorous discussion and we voted 2-0, and I'm happy to remove him so that I'm happy to remove it from the motion now.
Okay, well, let's see what others have. Councilor Gomez.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I think the First Amendment of the Constitution is really important for me. So the freedom of speech is number one in my book. One of the comments from this Eric, he was responding to someone on Facebook, and I'm not talking about the police. I'm talking about the other ones. So when we're gonna put some of those post on Facebook, we have to read the whole context. I'm going to read part of it. One of them, they referred to a woman and they said, remember, don't wear a short skirt at night or you deserve to be raped. And that's when he answered one of those bad words on Facebook. So, but being saying that, I think political attacks, it's permitted. So we are living in a free country, right? Even if Eric was saying really bad stuff about myself, I will vote yes for his appointment in this particular committee. Like I do agree with Councilor Sarah in the past, we vote no, but I think each particular committee is different. And we have to be really be careful when we vote and when we choose to say no or yes to a committee member. Those two past appointees from the mayor was to the CRC. It's a committee, the people or entity or department go to complaints. And if a member already have a way to see stuff as a government, as a religion or something like that, and that person already make a statement publicly that is against a lot of stuff. So to me is you know what, I don't think you're going to be there. But this is Park and Rec. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that way, saying the Park and Rec is less important than any other committee. I think the Park and Rec is commission are doing a great job. Eric is doing a great job, and the Park and Rec Commission. We have a recommendation from the department head from the park. And I think we have to start separating two things, right? Personal stuff with business stuff. I cannot compare any of the committee members as coming to my office to tell me what to do or saying bad words, because government is not like that. The government is to provide services. That's what it is. We are here to provide services, safety, health, to provide services. And for that particular reason, I'm gonna say yes. I think it's different things.
Okay, I'm gonna, Councilor Zaret, I'll come back to you, but I got to give everybody else a chance first. Councilor Rist?
I have to agree with Councilor Gomez on this. This is an appointment from the mayor. And as such, she got a good recommendation from the Park and Rec Director. And as a result, I have to vote yes because of that. The mayor has to have, the mayor is responsible for these appointments she makes and will deal with the consequences if there are unprofessional activities done. I don't agree with Mr. Poulin's statement. I wish he was a lot more professional, but I've been bullied in the past. I've been here 25 years and it comes with the territory. I don't disagree though that we all deserve to be respected for our basically volunteer service. The money we get paid is nothing compared to what we sometimes have to put up with. But on the other hand, our role in judging whether a person is qualified for a position or is going to do the job correctly, whether it's a new appointee or reappointee, is to find out if that person did the job well. And I believe the mayor and John Mason, our Park and Rec Director, have stated so. So I'm going to vote yes. I do wish the individual would be a little more professional in his dealings with the city councilor and other councilors, but we're all going to be attacked. And that's the society we live in, unfortunately. I personally don't go on Facebook because for that reason, except to see how my grandkids are doing, because it is a world where social media can really rupture your own personal feelings towards anything. And I think it's important that we all understand where that comes from. Anyway, I just wanted to say we have to respect our mayor's position on this, and we have to respect our Park and Rec Director's position. I do hope that I think it's appropriate, however, Councilor Rothschild, that we vote on all of the other appointees first and then vote on Mr. Poulin separately. Thank you.
Councilor Kwasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate Councilor Zaret's willingness to speak his mind. And I also appreciate that there is a difference between being on a committee that is with regard to community relations, the Community Relations Committee, and the Parks and Recs Department. So I make that distinction, and I'd like to explain my vote at subcommittee level and how I will vote tonight. First of all, let me say I do agree with splitting the matter so that we can take a separate vote and everyone can participate in that. But I think being a member of the Community Relations Committee raises a different standard. I think all of us hope to have that committee be productive, and I don't think it can be productive if you don't have people who speak in a manner that hopefully doesn't call for swearing, bullying. And I think those, for me, are very important criteria. In this case, if the language and behavior, although I would encourage everyone to speak otherwise, I don't think that rises to the level in this case for a Parks Department appointment. And I also weigh very heavily the recommendation of the Parks Director, John Mason. I read that carefully. It didn't seem appropriate to be able to make a distinction. It was inappropriate not to make that distinction. So I appreciate the Parks Director position. And I would encourage that anyone who is on a city committee, city board, to do better. in their attacks, no bullying, and that we can learn from this. I'm glad it was discussed at the council level. My vote in this matter will be in the affirmative for the appointment.
Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Madam President. I feel like I say the same thing every time one of these comes up, which is just that I don't know how we do this, but I wish we could come to some sort of better understanding on like a sort of, maybe it's a rule or something about exactly. And I know we actually did do a rule, but just in terms of when we're looking at an applicant who has sort of a controversial public persona, when we are supposed to be taking that into account and when we're not supposed to be taking that into account, because I hear what all my colleagues have said and I respect the various points of view, but at the end of the day, this all feels rather post hoc to me. Like, people have, how they feel about one another and about the applicant and about the communities that surround the applicant, the communities that the applicant is criticized, and those are undoubtedly coloring the decisions that we're making as we sort of process how to handle this type of situation. I've seen this is the fourth or fifth time we've done this, and I feel like every time I make this speech, I don't know what this looks like, but I don't love how, Councilor Zaret said that he knows that these sorts of things make people uncomfortable. And you're right. I think that one of the reasons these things make me uncomfortable is because whenever these things come up, there's these various discussions, these various slippery slopes that I see about, oh, well, what's the political significance of this vote? Does it condone certain things? If we start shutting down people for one thing or another, does that create like a precedent that suddenly you can't criticize the city? I mean, these are all, I think, good points. I also think that there obviously is some point where you have to say like that these are like that something is potentially beneath a appointed official. I don't know where that point is though, because we don't have a policy, because I don't love that. So that's my first point. The second thing that I wanted to say, and it's completely unrelated to this, but there is another point in the batch of appointments that I wanted to bring to attention, which is that we have at least one reappointment from the Telecom Advisory Committee. Yeah, I'm correct there, right? Right, Lindsay?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's just one. So that's on me. When I wrote that committee, I had written the language as a brand new city councilor with the idea that after the committee's creation, it would be sort of automatically dissolved, or after this committee, because the committee it's essentially an ad hoc committee, but I didn't know what an ad hoc committee was back then. So the committee was set up to write a report, and the report's written. There's no work, like by ordinance, there's nothing left for the committee to do. What I should have done between now and then is submit an amendment to abolish that committee.
Well, why don't you go ahead and make that amendment now, Councillor Peak, and we can get through that issue before we resolve the other issue.
Well, since since the committee was established by ordinance, my understanding is that it'll need to be abolished by ordinance.
Right, but we don't have to approve a reappointment. We can just.
Sorry,
Yes.
I meant to say, I should have separated him out too, because we didn't vote on Stan Diamond as well. So, because we knew that this was an issue. So looks like I'm going to redo a motion, so I'll remove him as well.
Okay.
That's all. So yeah.
Go ahead.
So I guess what I would suggest is that we not reappoint anybody to that committee, and then in the new term, I will formally introduce legislation to dissolve that committee. But it seems silly to reappoint people to a thing that doesn't do anything and can't do anything because we've done everything it's supposed to do under ordinance.
Okay. So before you make a revised motion, Councillor Rothschild, or we take back the motion in the second, let's continue the discussion on candidate reappointment for candidate Eric Poulin, And then we will go ahead and clean up the motions and start anew. But I would like to just hear from Councillor Zaret one more time, Councillor Flood, and I'm going to add my 2 cents to this conversation, which is I hate social media so very much. It enhances my life, not at all, except for pictures of dogs. But beyond that, I mostly feel bad when I read it. And people are just mean. And I don't know why. Maybe it's the anonymity of it, and that you're not looking someone right in the eyes. You're just sitting at a computer screen typing. It's very disturbing that people feel so comfortable to say horrible things about other human beings with no consequence or feeling whatsoever. It's happened to me, and I know it's happened pretty much to all of us. I will never understand it for as long as I live, and I probably don't have a lot more longer to live, so I'm never going to understand it. But that said, I do not know how we vet, kind of to what Councillor Peak was saying, I don't know how we vet every person coming through wanting to be on a committee, scrubbing their social media to find things that are horrible about it. I am certain there are horrific things said about me in the Easthampton arguments page, but because I don't belong to it, I have no idea, and I'm happy living that way. And, God bless everyone who wants to say bad things. But if we have to start scrubbing everyone's social media to get to things they may have said 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, I think we're going to go down a rabbit hole that we will never get out of. And, it's incumbent upon people who want to serve government, whether it be voluntarily on a committee or as an elected official, to just kind of clean up your act. Like, what are you doing? But that said, you don't have to be a great person to do this. We have clearly seen not such great people get elected. So that's not the acid test. So, it's free speech, it's democracy. People get elected who we don't like. People get put on boards and committees that we don't like. It only matters that the board and committee thinks they can do the work and that they do the work. And the rest of it, I can't get worked up over, because I would never, ever feel good about myself again. So I just don't know, with notwithstanding all the other candidates, have we done the same level of research on all of them and put them all up against one another to say, did somebody say something bad on social media about somebody else? And does that now become a disqualifier? And to Councillor Peak's point of view, we don't have a rubric for that. So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts as I walk out the door. So Councillor Zaret, go ahead. You can make another comment.
So just to your point, President Coniff, I think that if this was an active process where we were talking about scrubbing people's social media, I agree that's both tedious and unnecessary. But certainly, from a complaint-driven perspective, it's worthy of consideration if someone brings something forward on people. This happens all the time in employment, where someone's either up for a job or has a job, and information about things that they've said, either just straight up publicly or on social media, is brought to their employer's attention. They're terminated. I think that in certain ways, we're like the board of directors of a company here, and so I scrutinize applicants in a similar way. Obviously, it's a little uncomfortable because in this case, the comments are directed towards me, but frankly, no one else seemed to feel, other than Councillor Flood, to bring this forward even for discussion. And we've had some precedent with Jim Valancourt and Kathy Gray kind of discussing what they've said. Briefly also, First Amendment, freedom of speech, right? But freedom of speech does not guarantee you repercussions from things you say. And that's the difference between being able to express your opinion freely and also why we have things like defamation, libel, slander. All of those things come at the cost of your free speech. You can say things freely, but you're not free from what comes after that. Again, my statement here is to clear my conscience on this. It would be very hard for me to vote yes on this because of the nature of this. I don't think it's professional. I think it's unbecoming of someone who represents the city. I agree with Councillor Peak that after a few exhaustive discussions about this and frankly, kind of split decisions based on kind of the same information provided with different candidates, that we should look into a rubric, but that's the most I'll say about that in the interest of open meeting. I don't want to belabor this. I just wanted to express my I would have a crisis of conscience if I didn't say anything. That's all.
Okay, so we're gonna go through Councillor Flood, Peak, Kwasinski, and Gomez. Then we're going to redo the thing. I think we all, I'm sorry, and Councillor Rothschild. I think we all understand where we stand now, but I want to give you one last opportunity to say what you need to say, and then let's put this to bed and go forward with a revised motion. Go ahead, Councillor Flood.
Thank you for the additional time. I appreciate it. I just want to say, of course, I am a supporter and a promoter of free speech. Of course, I trust Mayor LaChapelle's judgment. I also, though, want to say that as a member who came to this appointments committee, and one of the first things we tried to tackle was having a process for looking at these issues. And what we came up with were these set of questions that we send out to everybody so that everybody's treated equally. And the whole discussion of those questions was, well, how do we follow up with these situations? So we really never came up with a solution. And just as a committee member who's moving out of this role, I would like to stress that I think what I'm hearing Councillor Peak say, exactly, there needs to be a policy, or there needs to be something that we can look to in the future. But I know that we also had discussed, having committee members sign a code of ethics, which would also just include the expectations of public servants and volunteers' performance on social media. Again, it's not to limit free speech, but it's to create committees that feel welcoming to everybody in the public. So if I have an idea for an event or a project with Parks and Rec that I would like to bring to them, I want to be comfortable approaching those people. And if I see adverse behavior on social media and then I realize that person is on that committee, that might stop me from approaching that committee with what could be a fantastic idea. So just making a broad stroke here is that I would like to see our boards and committees be welcoming and diverse and inclusive, and allowing more people to step up and volunteer. We all know we're short on volunteers. I'm not trying to shut the door on volunteerism, but I would like to make it more comfortable by stepping up the professionalism that is expected from those people who do come forward. And that's all. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Councillor Flood. Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Madam President. So, when it comes down to it, everyone on the council has spoken, and I think everyone but me has explicitly said how they're going to vote. So given the fact that for a no vote on an appointment thing, you need a majority against, I think it's pretty clear where this is going to go. And it seems pretty clear that the majority of people on the council are of the opinion that for something like Parks and Rec, which is different in its sort of nature than the CRC, that folks should be allowed to hold strong, at times controversial opinions, including making some pretty harsh statements about members of the city government, and that provided that they do their job and have the respect of their peers, that's okay. And I think that is a position. Again, I have a really hard time having a really hard position on this, but that's clearly what at least half the council believes, and I'm fine with that. The one thing that I just need to say, though, about this is that this is probably not going to be the last time we have this conversation. And it just so happens that Mr. Poulin is sort of in the same general political sphere as a lot of us, right? And so what I'm just want to say is the next time we have this conversation and it's about a person on the Board of Public Works or the whatever it is that maybe doesn't share our politics and maybe says some stuff that maybe we find really, really gross, that I'm going to have a really hard time getting on board with any attempt to have a problem with that based on this. That's my point. Like if this is the precedent that we're setting, that, on these more technical boards, this sort of behavior is fine, then I think that's an okay position. I don't necessarily disagree with that. But if in 6 months or 2 years, we turn around and decide something very different when it's sort of a different political situation, that is going to be, I think, a really bad look for us. So I just want to throw that out there, that, if that's just sort of where I am. Like, I think in doing this, we set a precedent. I don't necessarily object to that precedent, but I do think we need to be very mindful of that in the future.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. Councilor Kwasinski.
Thank you, Councilor Peak, for your clarification. I had wanted to say that with regard to establishing a rubric or a standard, I think this really is a political decision, something that the politics of the city, the politics of the councilors, the politics of the public, they want us to be thinking about each candidate in each situation. I wish there was a simple way there could be a written policy and say, oh, you violated that policy, you can't be on this. That really is simplistic, because there are times when we have to make decisions, when there is free speech involved, when there is an opportunity for flexibility, and making a distinction between one committee, the Community Relations Committee, and the Parks Commission. All of that requires judgment, and I think that's why appointments come before the council, and it's the council's decision to make that those hard choices. It's also our responsibility to be sure that we have free speech. So I don't think it's really possible to have a rubric. It's judgment, and I think there is a distinction, and I will just clarify, if I didn't before, that if these comments were directed to a member of the public with regard to the person's role and how they served on the Parks Commission or any other commission, I would vote differently and I would feel differently. But that's my opinion. Thank you for your indulgence, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Kwasinski. Councilor Gomez.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I'm going to start saying that, again, this is no private company. This is the government, and the government is to provide some services. I do agree that we, and I include myself there, we should have professionalism. We should treat everybody with professionalism. But the First Amendment is always there, and people are allowed to say what they have to say. That some of those stuff that we said have consequences, definitely. But I do agree that we have the freedom to say whatever we want when we don't do anything illegal. And if those comments from someone is illegal, I think, and the person who feel the attack by illegal action, they will take legal actions. But if it is a political criticism, we have to take it. To answer some of the question, I think this conversation is always productive, even when they're hard, because that's our job, right? As elected officials, this is our job to evaluate the appointment from the mayor when those appointments are good or when we believe those appointments are not good for the committee. So I think each committees are different, and I think these conversations are really productive. Believe it or not, sometimes I look like a weird saying exactly the same or not, but I think it's really productive. I just want to finish saying that we have to really be careful if we're gonna start, if we're gonna set a precedent, not to accepting people when that people criticism the city or criticism elected officials, and then we're going to shut down people in our community with the First Amendment, and we're going to stop criticism, even when those criticisms are hard. I think we need to be careful with that. Being saying that, again, I think this conversation is productive, believe it or not.
Thank you, Councilor Gomez. Councilor Rothschild.
A few things. One is I completely agree with Councilor Krasinski about this candidate's comments. They were targeted at city officials and city government and people in the public. And while I do not enjoy that aspect of being in the public, that anyone feels they can criticize you, unfortunately, it does come with the territory. And I would feel differently as well if somebody was criticizing, throwing those at residents who might be using the park, for example. So I do agree with Councilor Kwasinski's distinction. I just feel like it's important for the record. He keeps throwing, Councilor Zara has used Kathy Gray as an example a couple of times. That was a completely different situation. She provided an application and resume to the committee and to the council that had fabrications on it. It was like untruths. So that's a different situation than saying things, than being bombastic on Facebook. Another thing I wanted to point out is that, to Councilor Peak's point about if people come forward with different political views, that hopefully we, have the same kind of feeling towards free speech. I would challenge my city councilors to look back at people we've appointed who had different political views, who are very bombastic in Easthampton arguments, and we didn't question them at all. So what kind of bias is that? There's people on our committees and boards that have said really outstanding, rude things. And you know what? They've also been good members of those committees and boards, because you can be both and that's just the truth of the matter. And we live in a place where people have lots of different views and express them in a lot of different ways. But I would say to you, we've shown bias and not questioning people that are already there, if you want to go down that road. So yes, I'm open to free speech from every different angle, even if I don't enjoy it. And thank you for this discussion.
Okay, so now whoever made the second for this motion, do you remove your second?
I remove the second.
And Lindsay, do you remove your motion?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to make a new motion now?
I would like to make a new motion for the 26th, because I'm also excluding Stan Diamond from that list. So from the 26th, reappointments, not including Eric Poulin and Stan Diamond from the agenda. So I'm recommending to confirm them.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and second to confirm the reappointments with the exception of Eric Poulin and Stan Diamond. They will
2024 is the expiration. 12/31.
Motion for 12/31/2024 expiration. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
This is for the 26th?
Yep.
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Now,
I would like to, well, now I get to make a motion for Eric Poulin to be confirmed in his reappointment to the Parks and Rec Commission. So with a term expiration 12/31/2024.
Second that motion.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
No.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
No.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-2.
6-2.
Okay. And I think that's it. We're just not going to do anything about Stan.
Point of order, Madam President.
Yes?
He's automatically appointed to the committee.
Oh, good point.
He still exists.
Good point.
So we have to vote, I guess, not to appoint him.
Well,
We have to say
can't the mayor take back her appointment?
Yeah, that's another,
I think we should do that than appointing someone to a committee we don't want to have.
Well, not appointing him.
I don't think it would be appropriate, point of order, for the mayor to withdraw a nomination at this time. I think it's for us to make that determination if we feel that the appointment shouldn't be made.
Okay, we've done that before, but either way.
Yeah, I think it's completely fine if we want to remove Stan Diamond from the list of reappointments for this and vote on that. We either do or we don't want to remove him. And I think that would be fine if we don't move forward with his reappointment to a committee that doesn't exist. So it seems a little silly at this point. So, Dan, I saw your hand first.
Technically, I'm wondering, the committee still exists until we vote not to have it.
I thought we did though, didn't we?
No, we can't.
We did, we did.
No, Tom, the committee still exists, right?
We need an ordinance to make it not exist.
So if ever you change your mind, Stan can't be on the committee for at least, what is our rule? 6 months?
Didn't it?
Well,
It won't happen in 6 months.
Hang on, guys.
Never mind.
Didn't this fall under ad hoc committees?
No, because
Okay.
I wrote it in my first month as a city
Oh,
councilor and I didn't know
gotcha.
what an ad hoc committee was. So
Okay.
that's on me. But
Okay.
if I did it again, I would do it as an ad hoc committee.
Okay.
Whichever, do you want me to put him forward, or we can just let him glide on, me too, either way.
I don't know why we can't just make a motion to remove him from the list.
You can make a motion. Okay, I'll make a motion to remove Stan Diamond from our list for reappointments.
That was
Second.
good. Okay. Motion and a second to remove Stan Diamond from the list of reappointments put forth by the mayor. Any further discussion, Councilor Zaret?
Just quick question, just a point of clarification and point of procedure. Is there any merits to making this removal without prejudice? Is there anything within our charter or rules that stipulates if he's removed that it prohibits him from applying again? I'm assuming no, but I just want to be clear. And just
There's no committee to apply to.
I understand that, so that's fine. So just the record to reflect too that obviously I'm willing to remove him because the committee doesn't exist, not because I disagree with his.
Oh, absolutely.
You did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would support that.
Okay, agree. So the motion on the table as amended is to remove Stan Diamond from the reappointment list as a result of the Telecom Advisory Committee no longer existing. That's the motion. God, this is so
I
difficult.
love city government.
All right.
I got to
Did
give
we
you
get a
one
second?
last headache, Peg.
Did we get a second? I know, I doubt it. Did we get a second?
Second.
Yes.
Then let's go.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Yes, please.
Erica Flood,
I'm an aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye, and thank you for your help on all of this, Stan, if you want to come.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
and Lindsay Rothschild.
Hi.
Okay, thank you, Stan. It's not because we don't love you, it's because the committee doesn't exist.
Okay. I have more stuff to do because I have a lot more to go, but I'll make it quick. I'd like to move the 3 new appointments, or is it 4? 4 new appointments to the Appointments Committee. That's Rachel Phillips for the Aquifer Protection with a term expiration with 12/31/24. Marty Klein to the Commission on Disability with a term ending 12/31/2024. Ebenezer Afari Kuma to the CRC with an expiration 12/31/2024. And John Pepe to the Energy Advisory with a 12/31/2022 expiration.
Second.
Motion and a second to move the 4 new mayoral appointments to the Appointment Committee. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next.
And I think there's 11 reappointments. So is that the right number? And I'd like to move them as a package to the Appointments Committee. They all have a term expiration 12/31/2024.
Second.
Motion and second to move 11 new reappointments to the Appointment Committee with the term expiration 12/31/2024. Any further discussion, Barb?
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Okay. Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye. Are you done, Lindsay?
Well, I'm just announcing that we have a meeting on 12/22, that's next Wednesday at 4 p.m., where we will get all our final minutes for the year in and go through these appointments before the year is over. And thus concludes.
Thanks, Lindsay.
You're welcome.
That was fun. Ordinance. Who's going to give the ordinance report with Salem Derby out? Councilor Zaret, go ahead.
Thank you, President Coniff. God, I only get to say that 2 more times, I think, unfortunately. Can we make you President Emeritus?
No.
Okay, just going down the agenda here. So the Ordinance Review Committee's final report that has not yet been discussed by the committee, the Juneteenth resolution and related amendments to city holiday ordinances. That will be discussed at our next meeting, which is 21st, I believe. I'm in the wrong month here. The 21st at 6 p.m. We'll be discussing that. Vacant storefront ordinance has not been discussed yet either. That will be discussed on the 21st as well. We had a joint public hearing with the planning board last night regarding the zoning amendment, affordable housing and smart growth district and the planned residential developments. That was a great discussion with the planning board. I want to thank Councilor Peak for all the work he's done on that, and a really great PowerPoint presentation. That had some movement and has been continued to the 25th of January for another joint public hearing with the planning board. And I will need some input here. Regarding the item, the rezoning request for 7 Groveland from R15 to highway business, that was discussed a couple meetings ago, and that discussion continued. There was a planned site visit for this past Saturday that was canceled. Now, it is a matter of public record because it's contained in a publicly available email. There was a request from the petitioner, Mr. Cernak, to remove this item. However, there's nothing in the agenda packet. My thoughts, but I'll defer to the other counselors. This needs to be formally submitted to the agenda to appear publicly on the agenda so that people interested in speaking to it from the public are aware of it. I don't think we haven't formally dismissed it in committee. I see Councilor Peak raising his hand, but President Coniff, I just wanted to present you with that. And I'll just hand it over to you briefly to direct the meeting around.
Yeah, I mean, it's still on your agenda. You now have information that was given to you in the interim. You haven't really taken any action on it. So it would be my recommendation that you guys meet one more time on it, given the new information that has come to light. Have a conversation, allow the public to participate, and then bring back to us the results of that conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I see Councilor Peak has his
Councilor
hand.
Peak?
I agree with President Coniff. That's what I was going to say.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. That makes my night.
Thank you.
All right.
No, and that was my thought as well. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something procedure-wise. So again, to reiterate, we have a meeting at 6 p.m. next Tuesday in Zoom chambers. And then also to looking ahead, another joint public hearing with the planning board regarding the zoning changes. That's 6 p.m. on January 25th. And I don't see any ordinance and new business, so thus concludes.
All right, thank you. And back to you for property.
Oh, hi, President Conniff. Good to see you again.
Good to hear from you.
So the first item here, boundary line agreement with the owner of 99 Hendrick Street, AKA the Daigle item. Through a series of unfortunate events, we have not been able to meet as a committee with this item on our agenda. I had emailed the president regarding this with the original intention of suspending city council rules to discuss this here, but it looks like as a matter of practice within the rules, property items such as this do not seem to require discussion in committee first. That's my understanding, President Conniff.
Yeah, actually, it's really just part of the charter that you can certainly come back to this body with a no recommendation. And I feel that from where you've started to where you've landed, you have no recommendation to give to this body, so we can either move forward with a vote if it's time sensitive and a discussion about it tonight, or we can roll it over to the next meeting. So I don't know the criticality of it.
It's pretty time sensitive. There's been some communications I've received indicating that the petitioner and their attorney would like movement on this. So I would like to present it to the council tonight for a vote with your permission, President Conniff.
It seems fine with me, but I want to recognize Councillor Rist real quick. And then Mayor, I'll talk to you. Hang on. Councillor Rist.
My concern is, do you have sufficient information to tell us, Councillor Zaret, the pros and cons of this based on conversations you've had with anybody involved, whether it be residents or the owners, or et cetera? Because I always rely on the committee doing due diligence, as you always have. And this concerns me that, I guess if you do have that kind of information, pro and con, or members of your committee do, then we can certainly move forward. I'd like to know what the urgency is, for instance, because although we do have the ability to vote on this, because all we are required in the charter is to send it to committee, the committee can return it without recommendation, whether they didn't want to recommend it or whether they didn't meet, that's okay. But do we have enough information? And number one, do you feel you can really provide the council with enough information, pro and con? And secondly, do we have, what is that urgency? How urgent is it? I know the property owners, it sounds like they have an urgency, but what is that urgency? If you could answer those.
Yeah, so my understanding is that this item has been, so first of all, the item at hand is strictly just to endorse or vote to allow the mayor to enter into negotiations around more clearly defining a boundary between the private property owner and the city over at the Waterworks property off of Hendrick Street. There's additionally a sewer easement involved crossing through the property owner, Mr. Daigle's property. And my understanding is that there is some sensitivity, due to the amount of time that this has been in discussion with the city. It came to the council somewhat later in its existence in discussions with the city. I have not received any concerns from the public on this matter. Frankly, the public in this case is really Mr. Daigle, and any other concerns would be the city and the city property. I have had the opportunity to review this with the city attorney. They have no concerns. And I was able to discuss this with the mayor as well. And if I may, President Conniff, if it's appropriate, and I didn't know, I can't see it, but I think I infer that the mayor's hand might be up.
Yep.
I would recommend, if it's appropriate, to ask the mayor for input on this issue.
Absolutely. I mean, it certainly directly impacts the mayor. So Mayor LaChapelle, do you have some comments on this?
Yes, echoing some of Councilor Zaret's comments and asking for a vote tonight. The property boundaries between Mr. Daigle's property and basically where the water department is have been long confused, fuzzy, and unsettled. It is helpful to the city to get this cleared up sooner rather than later, especially as we might be looking at improvements at the water department through ARPA funds or retained earnings or whatnot, and to know where the boundaries are and settle that with the abutting property owner is beneficial to the city. Our city attorney has spent back and forth conversations with Mr. Daigle, as well as Mr. Daigle's representation. It's been over, I think, over a year. And, you know, where I would like it cleared up, we have a really great solution that I think can be finalized. Greg Nettleman and Dan Murphy of DPW also are in agreement to going forward on this and would like to see, you know, our land boundaries around the water department cleared up.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Riss?
Hearing that, and also the fact that the mayor, the actual motion would be to give the mayor authority in this regard, and therefore her administration, I have absolutely no objection now to taking this vote, because I do trust the mayor and that she will resolve the matter in the benefit of the city. So I have no objection.
Any other comments from any other councilors?
I concur.
Okay. All right, then Councilor Zaret, I understand that there is a 2-page resolution, if you will, and I would recommend at this point that you make a motion to accept and approve the resolution, but read it to the last word. I am milking every minute of my presidency out of this meeting, so take your time.
President Confer, you say you're going to miss my resolutions if you're gone.
I am not saying that I will miss your resolution.
But I do think that the language of this resolution accurately describes the matter at hand. So I think it will, once the motion and hopefully a second is made, if there's, this will, I think it explains the situation well. So
Hang on one second. What, Councilor Kuzinski?
Did I hear read this for 2 pages? I would recommend.
We have to read it into the record.
Showing it on the screen.
Do you not? Okay. I mean.
And dispense with reading every word.
No, I think we have to. Where's Barbara? Do we have to read this, Barbara, or are we just going to look at it and go, yes, we approve?
Well, I think
I feel like we should read it.
I think because it's kind of hasn't been on the agenda front and center for a while. It might be good. I know. I don't want to have him read it either.
I don't either, but I think it's the right thing to do.
I do too.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Go forth.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the following resolution, to accept the grant of an easement and to enter into boundary line agreements with Daniel Daigle. As follows: whereas the city of Easthampton, Massachusetts, the city owns certain real property identified on page 2 of the Daigle exhibits attached here to and incorporated herein, city property, and whereas Daniel Daigle, the owner of certain real property identified in the Daigle exhibits attached here to and incorporated herein, the Daigle property, wishes to establish the boundary for the Daigle property and the city property by entering into a boundary line agreement, and whereas the Conservation Commission has determined it is the best interest of the city to enter into the boundary line agreement as detailed in the Daigle exhibits, and that doing so will not adversely affect any area under Conservation Commission, area over Conservation Commission has jurisdiction. Whereas it is the reasonable belief of the Conservation Commission, the City Council, that the proposed boundary line agreement does not create any new boundaries, but simply reaffirms the existing boundaries. And whereas the city has a sewer line running over the Daigle property, but there is no easement of record for same, then it is therefore necessary for the city to obtain an easement for same, and see Daigle exhibits page 20-1. Whereas Daigle has agreed to the city an easement over the Daigle property, see Daigle exhibits page 17-19, and whereas the Department of Public Works has been consulted and has determined it is in the best interest of the city to enter into the boundary line agreement and accept the easement described herein, and whereas it is the best interest of the city to enter into the boundary line agreement and accept the easements described herein, and whereas the mayor of the city be authorized as necessary to enter into a boundary line agreement and execute any and all instruments as may be necessary on behalf of the city to effectuate the boundary line agreement and accept such sewer easement. Now, therefore be it resolved, one, that the mayor of the city is authorized as necessary to enter into the agreements and execute any and all instruments relative or necessary to effectuate such agreements. And two, that the resolution shall take effect upon passage. The council vote shall be as follows. One, to authorize the mayor for the city of Easthampton to negotiate and enter into the boundary line agreement in a form substantially similar to the document attached hereto as Daigle Exhibit page 1 through 5, and to negotiate and enter into an easement agreement for the areas shown on page 12 of 16 of the Daigle exhibits, and to enter into a mutual release of claims in a form substantially similar to the document found at page 13-16 of the Daigle, 13 to 16 of the Daigle exhibits. Two, to authorize the mayor or her designee to negotiate and enter into all agreements and to execute any and all instruments relative or necessary to effectuate and implement the boundary line agreement, easement agreement, and mutual release of claims. Three, to authorize the city council and mayor for the city of Easthampton to negotiate and enter into the boundary line agreement in a form substantially similar to the document attached hereto as Daigle Exhibit page 1 through 5 of 16. And that is it.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept the resolution for a grant of easement. Yeah. Any further discussion?
I do have
You're
one. You're
killing me, JP. You are killing me.
I am so sorry. I'll be very quick and very brief. I think since it should be acknowledged for the record that all the documents were in packets in previous packets. And although it was not shown on the screen today, this is not something that was presented to the council today. It was presented in the packet, so I feel very comfortable.
We've had it for several weeks. Yes, agreed. Okay, Councilor Zarek.
Do you need me to share that on the screen at all?
No.
Okay.
Please, no. Barbara.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. Yay. You
we
have new
voted.
business.
Sorry.
I was going to say you have new business.
I'm sorry, I already forgot. The Ballard Street, that's continued to the second meeting in January, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. We voted on the South Street. We have some new business. Poll location, a request to install one jointly owned pole for service to 45 Park Street. I'd like to make a motion to move that to the property committee.
Second.
Motion second to move a new pole location on 45 Park Street to the property committee. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Yes.
I would also like at this time to set a public hearing for that item on January 19th.
Second.
Motion and a
If that was a
second.
motion.
Yeah, motion and a second.
Yeah, motion.
Any further discussion? Councilor Rist.
Does it have to be the 19th, given that we've had trouble with poll locations and you still have Eversource coming? Can we move it to February? Only because that's already getting big and we don't even know what new business the mayor may send us.
My understanding was that this was lost in transit and it was supposed to be submitted many months ago. I don't know how time critical this is. I know that it has, I don't want to speak too much to the actual, there might be some time sensitivity to it. And so all I would
But
Because
question.
we could always
Barbara,
continue it. Oh, sorry.
Can we move this to a public hearing on the 5th without any problem if we decide? No, hang on. I don't mean to make it a public hearing on the 5th. On the 5th, can we set a public hearing for the 19th if all the ducks have lined up? Or will we have run out of time by the 5th?
No.
So no, we won't have run out of time.
No.
Okay. So if we have all the information we need on January 5th, you could set a public hearing conceivably then for the 19th. There's no reason we need to set it tonight, particularly. Councilor Rist.
I think we set it for the 19th and continue it if the information is not available. I only say that because we don't know who's going to chair the property committee on the 5th.
All right.
And I
Very
think
good
that's the
point.
reason we're doing that.
Very good point. Let's do it. Let's set it for the 19th. So we have a motion and a second. Barbara.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Yes.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Motion passes. Are you done? Do you have another meeting that you're going to have for property? Have you said?
We don't have one set right now. I guess as it pertains to the Ballard item, we have time on that. I'm waiting for information. And we don't have another meeting set right now, President Coniff.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Although we need to probably approve minutes, though. We'll figure that out.
Okay.
That's
You
included.
have time. You can meet anytime between now and December 31st. Rules and Government Relations, Councilor Peak.
Thank you, Madam President. We are going to be meeting in a week on the 22nd at 5:45 to, right? Is that the right one?
21st.
21st.
The 21st at 5:45 to approve our minutes for the year, and that's it. But we don't have any new business on this agenda, do we?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Well, then that concludes.
All right, great. Thank you. And the only thing left is the ad hoc committee for senior tax work-off. It will expire on 12/31, whether we like it or not. So you want it to just expire?
I would like to speak to that subject.
Go ahead.
As much as the council president would like to make a clean break and have it expire, I believe that it's important to at least leave it open in deference to our seniors and in order to see the pilot program move forward on solid ground. I'm recommending this be a 60-day extension. And the reason is I was asked to meet with the senior center director and with the board, and the earliest time they had available is next week. And I'll be meeting with him because they had specific questions. And I think what also complicated the issue was the transition of a new director at the senior center. We had been fortunate to have Brendan Rogers with us throughout the entire period. I know Councilor Coniff will remember that very well. And the expectation was that he could carry forward with the institutional knowledge and with the policy decisions, et cetera. He resigned. There's a new director. There was an interim gap. The new director is just getting her feet on the ground with regard to this subject and has requested a meeting with us. So I do think it would be important, and therefore will move to recommend a 60-day extension.
Can I just make a comment before you make a
You can
formal
always
motion?
resign.
No,
To make a clean break.
No, my only point is there is no one on the committee except you. Everyone else has left. So my point being, to make this a really cohesive transition, you need a committee. And I think what would make the most sense is to retire this committee, because this was to establish the guidelines to set up a senior tax work-off. In the next term, whoever the president is can create a new ad hoc committee that would be for ongoing whatever it is, ongoing care and feeding of the program with a whole new slate of members and kind of start fresh. It kind of muddies the water to keep this one going when you are the only person on the committee. There should be others that are joining you, and the mission statement of the committee has changed. And so my recommendation is to kind of disband it and start afresh with the president in the next term. I am totally fine with you continuing this as long as it's very well known there's no one on the committee. So you would only be working solely with whoever you're working with, and it's not a committee, it's you.
Well, they have invited us to participate in that discussion, and I'd like to attend. So
They haven't invited me, and I'm on the committee. So that's what I'm saying. It's not really a committee action right now. It's a city councilor JP action with, I'm not going to the mayor's point, this is not a hill I'm going to die on. I just think a clean break and a refresh when there's a new president, new members on that board, certainly you could be on that, continue to be on it. It just feels like we're just kind of dragging this out. You can certainly go to the meeting, and start afresh. But again, not going to die on this hill, whatever you guys want to do.
I'm not going to either. I just want to be supportive of the program and of the people who were asking to administer the program.
Councilor Zarek.
I would say, Councilor Kwasinski, and I applaud your dedication to this item. I don't see any reason in the face of the dissolution of the committee that you can't, as A, a past member, and B, as a invested city councilor, attend this meeting. There's nothing preventing you from doing that. And I look forward in the next term, as President Conniff said, that if there's a reason to bring this back as a ad hoc committee, I'd 100% support that and your leadership on it. So I don't see any real break in the continuum here. So that's just my couple shekels.
So whatever motion you'd like to make, JP, feel free.
I will stick with the recommendation that we have an extension so that that meeting can occur. I would expect that the committee would continue through that period, to be sure. So that's a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion other than I will say, I don't really see that there's a committee, but that's fine. Okay. Councilor Zarek?
President Conniff, correct me if I'm wrong, would the committee require a quorum? And if there's not enough members for a quorum in the presence of this committee, they can't even meet? Am I missing that?
I think that's a fair statement.
I mean, I don't want to vote no here, Councilor Kwasinski, but it seems.
Let me, if I may clarify, I've received no resignation letters. Maybe I missed that when I was in surgeries. I apologize if that's the case, including yours, Madam President.
Well, I think de facto, the fact that I'm not on the city council, in January, I won't be able to attend any meetings. I was appointed as the president to this committee. I appointed myself. This is getting really complicated. I'm fine if you want the committee to go forward. It doesn't really, I don't have any skin in the game. Councilor Rothschild.
I'm just confused. Where are all the other members? Did they term out or are they just?
Brendan resigned. I'm not a city councilor. We have not met in about 7 months. So I feel and I think Erica, were you on it? I can't remember. I can't even remember who's on it. Pardon me?
How many people were on it?
Oh God, I don't know.
Okay.
Joe Banis was on it, and he was the one who had asked me to attend.
Fine. Let's keep it going. Let's just renew it. Fine.
Is there a second?
We got a motion and a second. Do we have a second? Okay, let's go, Barbara.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye, I guess.
Yeah. Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Hi.
Owen Zarek.
Yes.
Meg Conniff.
Sure.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
and Omar Gomez.
I'm guessing with Tom, yes.
What?
I say yes.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your friendship, your support. This has been quite a ride and quite a last meeting. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful holiday, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you around town. And Dan, you owe me a breakfast. See you later, guys.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
President, I
Motion
move
to
we
adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
Wait, we don't actually need it, but go ahead. Second? Could be-
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Hi.
Roland Zarrett,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Thank you, Peg. Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Bye, guys.